This week's episode of the Co-Optional Podcast is proudly sponsored by Squarespace. Get 10% off your first order at squarespace.com/cooptional. Create your own professional-looking website with no prior knowledge required at squarespace.com/cooptional. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Co-Optional Podcast. It's the 5th of July? Yes, that's the American date system, right? I keep getting confused. Yes, 5th of July. Wonderful. Great. Off to a good start. Literally nobody is paying... Oh, it's because This is amusing. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Co-Optional Podcast. I forgot to unmute my mic on Zoom. I've been introing the show for the last 20 seconds, and none of you guys had any idea. I was like, you know, they're being kind of rude right now. Just sort of ignore me like, oh, yeah, I muted the mic.
You're a monster.
I'm a fucking idiot.
You're a monster.
Dude,
You're a monster.
I'm fairly confused that I'm just losing my mind at this point. I showed up to my therapist today, and she's like, you realize she's on holiday, and she totally emailed you about that and told you not to come this week, right? It's like, that's the reason I did... You see, I thought I forgot to put it on the calendar. No, I deliberately didn't put it on the calendar because it wasn't happening. I'm a fucking idiot.
Nailed it.
Yeah. Welcome to the Co-Optional Podcast. We occasionally talk about video games, and we consistently fuck things up. Our guest today, who hopefully will not be doing that, is LevelCapGaming. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
It has been a while since we ran into each other. Wasn't it the PlanetSide Ultimate Empire Showdown promo event like 3 years ago, right?
Damn.
Yeah, that was kind of a crazy event. I remember that being kind of like totally all over the place. They got me last minute to fill in for TotalBiscuit. That was it. Yeah.
TotalBiscuit.
You almost
Total Tobuscus.
You know, people keep calling me. It's like, oh, that Tobuscus scam. Like, no, I'm not Tobuscus. Please stop. This happens online all the time.
Sure.
It's being very awkward. I mean, I can't imagine why they replaced someone as great at gaming as Tobuscus with somebody like you. I don't know.
That was fun, though. I remember that being totally crazy.
It
They
was.
had big cardboard cutouts of our faces, like just
Yes.
sitting in the event.
Did you get to take them home?
No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I
what? You took yours?
Yeah, I took a couple of them home.
God
I
damn
would.
it! I should have taken mine.
Wait, pause. A couple of them? Like,
There were actually quite a few.
who's
And the one of TB, so that
Yeah,
they can always just sit next to each other. Yeah.
My cousin
makes
stole
sense.
one from me, and he just texts me photos of it every now and then, just in like random places. And I'm like, okay.
Love it.
Sure.
I have a friend who goes on like a cross country trip with her sister every year, and they always take popsicle sticks and print out whoever their favorite celebrities are at the time and just like cut out their faces and put them on the popsicle sticks and then take pictures with them.
Oh, dear.
Anyways. I think it's funny.
Oh yeah,
Show it
yeah.
to their kids one day. This is us.
Yeah, one day be like, this is me with who even knows?
They
You were
have.
so quirky.
They actually have a little like recap video on their official channel of them putting up the giant banner with my big dumb face on it. I've got it on the screen right now. I think. Yeah, yours is the one on the other side. Yeah, there's you right
Okay.
there. There's Nana's as well.
I remember walking into that and was like, nobody told me they were going to do this. This is
They went
crazy.
all out, man. It was
Yeah.
like a full-on event. It was.
There you are.
It was crazy.
Wow.
There's Higby in his stylish blazer. He doesn't work for that company anymore. I'm actually not sure what Matt Higby went and did. He used to be the, I think, the creative director on PlanetSide too, but he's left their company now, who's now called Daybreak.
They're like Daybreak now.
Daybreak, yeah.
I think
Mostly
half of the
folks-
people I have known that work there are working elsewhere right now.
Oh yeah,
Ramel, their art directors working at Bosky now. Also,
Yeah,
so like
yeah.
their top guys are not there anymore.
That's very true. Yeah, that's there was a thing of Matt Higby commentating with Jace Hall there as well. They had some didn't they have some random celebrities show up and stuff like that? It was kind of weird.
Sounds like an event.
It was.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say that sounds like a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
crazy
C-Nana's
stuff.
being interviewed. If I yeah. Oh yes, I recall correctly. I like
Do
a
not
complete.
put the audio on for that one. That is just like that's one of those memories that I've just sort of tucked away forever. You know, like, oh, remember when you like spoke in front of 1,000 people, like at the Planet Night event? Nope, don't remember that at all.
I don't know. Huh?
Oh
You
yes.
came out, and then you came out and absolutely rocked it, and it was like, cool. Thanks, TotalBiscuit, for like you had the whole crowd chanting your like clan whatever it was. I don't know.
I think it may have had something to do with the fact that we prepared before that, and I told all the guys, "Do you know the movie 300?" And they're like, "Yes." You know the bit where he goes, "Spartans, what is your profession?" When I yell that, can you go ooh 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 from behind the curtain and scare the living shit out of the presenter? So that's exactly what we did. And I'm like,
It was
this is
amazing.
either going to be awesome or the most cringeworthy fucking thing I have ever done.
And it ended up being awesome.
I thought it ended up being pretty good. I thought it worked out well. Thankfully, our team was into it and didn't just do it half-heartedly. Otherwise, that would have been really shitty.
It was really good for you, and then like I came out on the mic and I was like, "Yeah, Vanu, go!" And
To
people
be
were
fair,
like,
you were
"Okay,
role-playing, right?
whatever."
That's the Vanu sovereignty in a nutshell. It's like,
It's
with the
true.
Vanu sovereignty, we have technology. Aren't we wonderful?
Very true. Yeah, we
That
express
game.
no emotion.
Indeed. God sponsored the hell out of for that game. I'm not going to complain about the amount of money they threw at us, but yeah, I should actually play that again at some point. They've added some base
That was
building and stuff
back
there.
in my early days of YouTube when
Indeed.
I got to do things for exposure. So yeah.
Yes, exposure. Mhm.
I got paid in exposure bills. It was fun.
Yes. The problem with exposure as currency is that people die of exposure. So, yeah, I don't. I can tell you for a fact that Toby Turner wasn't being paid in exposure. Fucking hack. Oh, we're going to be calling people out today. There's been some
boy.
shit going down. I can't wait for the last hour of the show. Oh my. Get your children gambling. It's going to be interesting. Welcome to the Corruptional
Lord.
Podcast. We
Get
do
your
it.
children gambling?
Get your children gambling,
You'll
y'all.
understand
Get your
what I
children
mean
gambling.
in the
Guys.
last hour of the show. Oh my lord, this is gonna be interesting. Welcome to the Corruptional Podcast. We do occasionally talk about video games. Jesse, you have quite the mug there. I see. You steal that from Dodger's collection?
Oh no, that is not mine.
Oh wow, you won't even take responsibility for that. That's unusual. You have all sorts of stupid mugs. That one's like relatively. Anime shit.
The bait and switch.
It was all going so well.
For the briefest of moments, you thought she was just a normal person.
Yep.
Jesse, how's the coffee?
It is definitely like something you would make.
For those of you who are watching right now, during sound check, I was like, I made coffee and it's, I think, a little too strong, a little sludgy maybe. And Jesse was like, I'll try it. And so now I'm getting the feedback.
It's great.
I have a feeling the next couple of hours are going to
Certainly
be
a
pretty rough.
beverage.
I certainly did drink some of it right now.
Oh dear. This was a bad idea. Today's show is sponsored by squarespace.com/cooptional. Get 10% off your first order at squarespace.com/cooptional. We've got a silly ad for you later that... Oh dear. Let's just say it's the conclusion of our grand story arc. Let's just put it that way. Oh my. So we generally spend the first couple of hours of the show by talking about the games we've been playing this week, and I know one person here has been playing a game that the rest of us have not really had the chance to get our hands on yet, and it goes by the name of Battlefield 1. And
Suckers.
I know you're under some degree of NDA, but you've also put out a ton of footage on it, so I'd love for you to talk about what you've been able to show and what's really going on with that game.
Yeah, well, I'm in kind of a happy little spot with the NDA because I got invited to the EA Play event where we played the closed alpha, and then once that NDA lifted, I'm able to talk about that closed alpha, which is identical to the closed alpha that's currly going on. So
Cool. All right.
basically,
That works.
I think I can talk about it for the most part. There's
Sure.
nothing in the closed alpha that wasn't in what I can't talk about. I like it. It's fun. It's crazy. It is worthy of the hype that I think it's getting right now. It's like a huge AAA shooter focusing on World War I, which is the first time ever, as far as I know. And it plays out like a Battlefield game. I think it's interesting to follow what's going on online because I'm always interested in what the community thinks about the game and what they're expecting. But there's like a camp of people that thought it was going to be largely bolt action rifles and trench warfare, and they're kind of looking forward to that, which would have been pretty much suicide for a Battlefield game of like, hey, let's go super milsim and make it slow paced and realistic.
It could have caused problems, you know. I mean, Battlefield sits in, I think, in this like weird position where it's always got this marketing thing where like we're a bit more authentic than something like Call of Duty. Call of Duty's that arcadey shit. We're, you know, where the real stuff happens. But in reality, you know, you compare that to Armor or Squad or Verdun. It's like no, not at all.
Yeah, there's like 4 buttons to control an F-18 Hornet. And you're like, okay, that's real, right?
That's very realistic, yeah, because in Call of Duty, you didn't control it at all, so it's totally real now, right?
It's all autopilot now.
No, it's very arcadey, but I think what people want is a visually authentic-ish looking experience. Battlefield's supposed to be like the most intense war has ever gotten every match, basically. And so it's supposed to look like that, but then it's still a very arcadey shooter at the end of the day. And I think it needs to be. That's what people like about it, because you go milsim and milsims kind of rely on people enjoying the game almost from a role-playing perspective more than a gameplay perspective, because game design wise, milsim shooters are generally boring beyond all reason.
Absolutely. I mean, the reason why I think a lot of people like Armor and Squad is because they get a group together that is all of sort of like-minded people, and they do the full-on role-playing. And it reminds me, because you used to do a ton of airsoft stuff, and I used to watch the shit out of all of that. And I watched you do a little bit of milsim stuff, and I also watch like a few other channels that do milsim stuff, and it really is all about the role-playing there. You know, you've got... just as sort of an FYI for those who don't know a lot about airsoft, a general like electric airsoft gun usually uses a magazine that's anywhere between 180 to about almost 500 rounds sometimes. You know, and you really spit out a lot of BBs. But in these milsim modes, you're using magazines that deliberately only have 30 rounds in them. And it's almost like you're sacrificing the fun of just spraying away with an airsoft gun to get that authenticity feel, to get that sort of roleplay feel. And I think milsim games are very similar to that, in the sense that you have to be with a group of people that are all willing to play along.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's where like the fun of it comes from, though, is just playing along. And as soon as you start to break it down, you're like, well, we're playing BB Wars right now with 30 round BB magazines that can't like penetrate like a piece of cardboard.
No.
So you got like guys hiding behind like a piece of cardboard and you're like, this is real, you know? And you're like, shoot. It like things start to break down if you start to analyze like what's actually happening. But
yeah, I think it is a very different market. I think if anyone did expect Verdun or Armor out of Battlefield 1, they were probably not thinking straight. But I would love to know, like, how prevalent are the automatic weapons? I mean, because they've certainly seemed to have taken some liberties. Extremely prevalent. Okay.
There's only one class, the sniper class, that gets the bolt action rifles.
Really?
Granted, the sniper class has essentially gotten a buff because every other class has gotten a nerf. Okay. So I think we're going to see more scout classes, people playing the bolt action. It's one of my favorite classes to play right now. And in other Battlefield games, I would snipe occasionally, but it wasn't like my go-to class all the time. But now I'm really enjoying it. So it's at least really fun to use the bolt action rifles. But if you get into a city or a town area that's close quarters, you're just going to run into SMGs, LMGs, and then the semi-autos, which can also kind of switch into full auto mode. Also, they have like a really slow rate of fire, full auto. But they've completely revamped the gun mechanics of the game. Instead of having guys playing with assault rifles that can just kill you at far away, at close range, medium range, now everything's much more relegated to like a specific class type and style. So you have to really play your role a bit more. And if you go outside of that role, you're going to lose because of your failed strategy versus your skill. You can't just take your amazing skill and say, I'm going to take my SMG and kill that sniper over there because I'm so good at controlling recoil. Like, it's not. It just
won't work.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at least, yeah, it seems to me at least that the bolt actions in that game are powerful, and you're kind of encouraged to use them, so you won't have everyone running around with automatic weapons all the time. I know there were some automatic weapons around the World War I period, either prototypes or stuff that was introduced towards the very end of the war.
Yeah, I was going to say, isn't that when they first started really being part of wartime?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about sort of man-portable stuff, stuff you could run around with. Obviously machine guns, the Maxim gun, the Vickers gun, etc., etc. Very, very common in World War I, but you didn't see people picking them up and running with them. You know, they were in place
not
weapons.
you wouldn't see it a lot. Basically, the vision of Battlefield 1 is like, let's take every crazy thing that was in the war at one point, even if it was like field tested on one occasion,
Yes.
and make it like something that like half of the soldiers in the game can use. So what you're actually getting on the battlefield is not an accurate representation of any battle you would have ever seen, but it's still weaponry that was around, much like what you would take away from like a Battlefield 3 or Battlefield 4 game. I mean, when I play Battlefield 4, I use weapons from all over the world, yet I'm part of the U.S. military. It's like, why would I be using like an old like Russian machine gun? You know, I've got like these high-tech U.S. military stuff, but it's just sort of the Battlefield style, which is like take all the cool shit that was around at that time period
And let people play
throw
with
it into one game. Yeah.
Yeah, that is in itself very true as well, which I think is a point that a lot of people do miss when they're complaining about this lack of realism, lack of authenticity in Battlefield 1. It's like, all of the Battlefield games have been like this for ages. You know, they include all these weapons from all over the world, even if they're not regularly in military use, especially for the faction you're playing, because it's more fun to give that variety to people, and that fun takes precedent. It'll be interesting to see how it turns out. I mean, some people point out it's more like a World War II game in a World War I skin, essentially.
Yeah, without question. I think that's a perfect analogy for the game, because if you've played Verdun, and I like Verdun, it's cool, but it doesn't keep me pulled in and playing it because it is so accurate to World War One. It's like, all right, over the trenches
hard,
again.
you know?
Oh,
yeah.
I got mowed down by a machine gun.
Yeah,
like,
it reminds me of, have you ever done the musket line battles in something like Mount and Blade Napoleonic Wars, where like everyone lines up
videos.
and shit? Yeah.
Those look very funny.
They are. They're fun in that very specific context. Like, I don't think I could play hours and hours of that. It's like, this was cool, I enjoyed this for 20, 30 minutes, but then I'm like, okay, we are literally lining up and shooting musket at each other. Can we do something else now?
But you could be the guy that's like, company form at my right, present arms.
As long as I can be the trumpeter, you know.
Yeah,
I'll be the musician. It'll be wonderful.
Yeah, that game's all about role playing because there is no gameplay element to it that's fun whatsoever.
It looks so old. Like, just watching it is
all the Mount and Blade games look like that. That's
Yeah.
the thing about Mount and Blade is that Mount and Blade is maybe one of the jankiest games ever made, and it's still fun as fuck. Like, because it's one of the only games where like you can dive into like a, you know how Total War does its battles? It's like you're in the middle of that as one dude doing shit. So it's like there's a bunch of like really jankily animated people running like this over a hill, and you're like, I've got an axe, and you just press the battle shout button and go, ah, and just sort of whack it. It's just fucking hilarious.
On the horse with the spear just going,
yeah. Yeah. Because they deliberately keep the animation slow so that you could actually deliberately, you know, block and counter. They have to keep it slow. And if you watch it, it looks fucking dumb. But if you play it, it's so much fun, especially if you have like a lance and you're on horse to just fucking smack people with lances. And you're running backwards and forwards for like an hour through these guys on foot that are just chasing you around in a circle, like going, and it's like, you can't get me, I'm on a horse, I'm going around it, and then just poke them as you go past. It's dumb as fuck, and it's the best dumb as fuck. I love it.
That is one thing I'm really looking forward to seeing in Battlefield 1 is the horseback combat.
Oh,
we know
yeah.
it's going to be in the game. It's not in the closed alpha. They're saving it for, you know, whatever they're going to release down the line to keep the hype train going.
Oh, God, I hope it's good. I want to run somebody over the horse. It's going to be great.
Well, apparently it was the last war in which they actually used lances. So the German military had like a German military lance or something.
The lance division, yeah.
Yeah, how crazy is that? Just thinking of like you're in trench warfare and some dude on a horse like throws a lance at somebody. Like that just blows my mind.
I mean, the more I watch of the Great War Channel, the more I realize that World War I was the biggest clusterfuck of mistakes that's ever happened. Like, it was a forced modernization of warfare, and almost every general involved in it at the start didn't know how to fight a modern war. So, I mean, there's a story early on in the war where a French division just marched across open fields like for miles and just got mowed down by artillery and machine guns by the Germans
like
who were on the hill.
Napoleon style.
Yeah, they literally did. And they're just like, And you think about, like, what kind of dumbass would order their fucking troops to do that? But that was French military doctrine at the time. They didn't fucking know. You know, machine guns weren't a part of, like, a major conflict really before that. So everyone was fighting wars the old way, and suddenly they were forced to modernize. So, I mean, I like the fact that there will be something of a clusterfuck in, you know, Battlefield 1 with a bunch of weird weapons and shit. So we'll see how that turns out. I'm glad it sounds like it's turning out well.
The desert theater as well, where cavalry charges or even camel charges, we'll have to see, were actually a part of that, like, Bedouin sort of rebellion aspect of the war too, which will be really interesting to see how they incorporate that. I love the history about it, and it's also going to be the first Battlefield game that has a single player that revolves primarily around a historical battle, where all the other previous Battlefield games, single players didn't really. I think Bad Company had a little bit of a World War II flashback or something like that. But other than that, like, this is actually going to be full on about actual battles and actual, like, well, I don't know about actual people, but characters within those battles.
Yeah, because aren't, like, the Harlem Hellfighters involved in some way? Like, I think the very much the American presence is a bit exaggerated from what I can tell. Like, there's a little bit more of it than there really kind of should be.
I think not exaggerated enough.
Well, people are pretty upset that the French campaign is going to be a DLC, and then the US is included from the start. I mean,
it's a bit of a weird decision.
I understand from a marketing aspect. You're like, okay, the US is a pretty big market. We have to include them as one of the main factions, but not having the French in there from the start is sort of like, wait, what?
It's like, that was like the entire, most of the Western Front was them. They'd probably say, we were kind of involved in this.
Between France and, like, Germany or whatever. It was like the biggest battle of the war, and it was solely fought by, like, the French on one side.
Yeah, I mean, I just hope that they do a good job with, you know, if you're gonna make the French, like, their own expansion, then make that fucking good. You know, it's very odd to not include them from the start.
I have a feeling that they're gonna do, like, a huge trench warfare DLC, and it's gonna be focused on the French, and I think that could be pretty cool.
I mean, it's weird to sort of anticipate DLC before the launch of a game, but the way that Battlefield, especially Battlefield 4, I think, did its DLC, where they were willing to do, like, a DLC pack which kind of went off the rails a bit. I mean, it wasn't the last expansion pack literally had a fucking railgun in it, floating tanks, and the one before that was kind of centered around the idea that there being kind of a disastrous earthquake, and there was, like, a scavenger mode and shit. And it's like, I want the DLC for Battlefield 1 to go fucking insane. Like, I want to see... Like,
I want to see the secret weapons expansion from 1942.
Oh god,
with the
jet planes. I remember those. Yeah, I remember trying to fly
the jetpack in a World War II game. So
they did.
World War I, that'd be great.
Yeah, a lot of people forget that when there's like, oh, Battlefield should be about authenticity. It's like, literally, there was an expansion, Battlefield 1942, that had a jetpack in it. That was a real thing. I remember flying the little Goblin jet plane, and nobody could fly it because it handled like a fucking piece of shit. It was too fast, so you couldn't actually do anything with it. And they launched it like upwards off a goddamn ramp. I would love to see a Battlefield 1 equivalent of that. That would be incredible. Especially with some of the really weird experimental giant tanks, like the Tsar tank with the big fucking wheels on it. I'd love that.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I hope they get creative, and I know a lot of the designers and developers love that kind of stuff too. And in fact, the spiritual successor to this game was Codename Eagle. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Codename Eagle, and that one was crazy. That was like Zeppelins and chucking dynamite out of the windows and stuff, and just like totally insane stuff. That was supposedly some weird steampunk version of World War One. And so that's like kind of the spiritual successor to this game. So I'm hoping they kind of bring some more of that craziness in. I'm sure they're going to start off with more historical accuracy, but by the end is when they start throwing in all the crazy stuff. And they're like, all right, you guys are bored of the historical stuff. Let's go crazy.
Well, I mean, wasn't there a guy in the trailer with a flamethrower who's literally wearing steel plate armor, which actually was a thing briefly in World War One. They experimented with steel plate armor until they realized actually bullets just kind of go through that. It doesn't really help.
It's pretty funny talking to the devs about that because they did so much research on all the tech that was around back then, and they were like playing around with different ideas, which I guess some of it wouldn't work, but one of the ideas they were talking about was people in World War I, they built fake trees and they'd put them in no man's land with a sniper inside of it. And then every day they'd push that tree like 10 feet closer at night or something like that. He'd like be shooting people out of the other trenches, and they were thinking about something like that, but it's like obviously that wouldn't work. But
I would love to play the tree class where you can slowly sneak forward, kind of like a snake.
Yeah,
with the
talk
box.
about slow gameplay.
That's my role playing cast,
Yeah.
I want to be a tree. I really want to be a tree.
Man.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, hopefully it goes that way. And then I'm going to say, I hope the next Battlefield game is just Battlefield 40,000, which is just Warhammer 40k Battlefield game. I would kill for a Warhammer 40k Battlefield game.
Well, they did it with Total War, right? Why can't we just do Battlefield? Just plug and play, right?
I mean, Games Workshop is literally giving its license to fucking anybody right now, so I would love to see them pick that up and make a 40k game. There is a game currently in development that's in early access right now called Eternal Crusade, which is a 40,000 game, and they're aiming to be an MMO at some point. Right now, it's a bit Battlefieldy. It's kind of a third-person game, but it has Battlefield-style stuff, like you got vehicles, multi-crew vehicles that you can get in and stuff. It's very rough around the edges at the moment, but it's getting there. It's got melee combat incorporated. They've just added a third race to it. Eventually, that might actually become a really good game, but it's definitely not there yet.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where they go with that, because they're very, very ambitious, and I'm always worried when there's like, we're going to make a futuristic shooter MMO with all this. It's like, but we're going to start by making a small-scale kind of Battlefield-style game. Like, okay, wait, so how are you going to like go from there to there? It's like, just, maybe like shrink your scope. Just make a cool Battlefield-like 40k game, and I think I'd be happy with it. I'd be all right with that.
Yeah.
Totally.
I'll have to check it out. So you guys weren't able to get into the closed alpha at all?
No, we never got invites to it. I think a lot of that was random, wasn't it? Because
a lot of it was,
yeah. I think I'll just wait for the beta. I think I don't really want to, because I love the idea of this game and I think it's going to be fun, and I do usually play all the Battlefield games on launch. Usually have a lot of fun unless they're buggy as fuck. Or have bad maps. Operation
Never
Metro.
happened. I don't know what you're talking about.
Indeed.
Flawless titles from the start to
Absolutely. Finish. Best map design in history. 64-player Operation Metro all day, every day.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I think I want to wait for them to incorporate more of it, because I looked at your videos and I watched and I saw the weapons they've got in right now, and I'm thinking, cool, let's kind of see the rest of it. Do I want to spoil my experience for that game?
It's without question an unfit. It's like they call it a vertical slice of the game, when they build that part to completion.
Yeah.
But even then, it's not really complete. Like, there's classes that just don't have gadgets available that are going to be insanely important to like fighting tanks or infantry or something. So you're like, oh, the balance feels a bit out of whack, and it's like, that's because you just don't have half of the stuff you should at this point.
Yeah.
But the teamwork aspect of it already is quite the aerial combat, I think, is taking it to a level that no Battlefield game's been at before. I mean, 1942 had a little bit of it, but this is just like the most modern, the most amazing version. And having a biplane with a tail gunner in it, like Indiana Jones style, is just on a whole nother level right now.
I kind of can't wait to strafe a Zeppelin in a triplane.
It's great.
That is not something you get to do a lot in video games.
The modular destruction is crazy too. So if somebody like hits your tail of your plane, you're not going to be able to turn as well anymore. So it's like,
it actually falls off and shit like that.
You can strategically aim for parts of the vehicle to hamper them in different ways.
I just want to put as many holes through the enemy wings as possible, so they're just like flying a Swiss cheese, and they're just. I just love watching stuff like planes made of wood. There's always so many great ways to destroy them, comedic ways, like having wings sliced off and all that sort of thing. It will be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah,
cool.
you can damage the aircraft enough to the point where you don't have enough lift to keep the thing just in the air. There's like no way to keep it in flight. So you're just like, we gotta bail.
Or it's like, aim for the nearest concentration of infantry. We're gonna go right in the middle of them. Just crash it into
I was
them.
tank rammed or plane rammed as a One of the old school things to always do in Battlefield is just ram your jet into an enemy tank or something.
I recall Jesse doing that all the time in Battlefield 4. Before didn't you switch to being a pure anti-air gunner? Like you would do every game was just grab the AA.
Oof,
Yeah, the minute a game would start, I'd be like, "Yo, AA," and get either number 1 or number 2 every match. Because I just sit in the back, be like, "What up, haters?" And that's how. And then they nerfed the shit out of that, so I had to actually go do stuff. But for a good time there, I did a great job.
I remember when we were doing this podcast and you were big into Battlefield 4, and it felt like there were just weeks at a time where you were like, this week I played Battlefield 4.
You know what? Battlefield 3 I enjoyed. 4 for some reason, like I was actually good at. And I feel like it was because I discovered what all the cheap ways to win were. I was like,
there's lots of them.
Yeah, I was like, I know how to cheat this game now. Yeah, Battlefield 3, I was always the guy who was like, I'm just going to run in there with my gun. I'm going to learn to shoot. Oh, boy. And sucked. 4, I gave up on trying to be an infantry dude and just focused on cheap ways to get kills. And was like, perfect. So...
Yeah, get something with a chain gun, sit somewhere, and just mow people down as you go past.
You'll be very happy with the Zeppelin in Battlefield 1. You'll feel right at home.
I played Battlefield 1 at E3, and even though I played with controller, I still was like 4th place overall because I discovered, again, what the secret is. The secret was, after getting destroyed as a guy running around with a machine gun, I found this guy in a tank who was like holding a point by himself, and he kept killing me over and over and over. And I was like, all right, F this guy. I went all the way back to base, grabbed the tank, went around the outside of the map, came up behind him, shot him in the back, killed him, sat on the same point he did, murdered like 85 dudes.
Yeah, the tanks are ridiculous right now because all previous Battlefield games have had rocket launchers.
Yes.
So infantry can shoot rockets at tanks. There were no rocket launchers in World War I, so it's become like anti-tank grenades, and everybody has to just like get really close to tanks. And if you're driving a tank, it's just like open season. It's like hunting, basically. It's just
I got several kills just running over guys as they tried to get close.
Tried to get an anti-tank grenade on you.
I was like, all right. I mean, if you want to get up in front of me, yeah.
Yeah, because
there's like a horrifying animation when you get run over by a tank now, where like you fall down and your hands like go up in front of you. It's like
Jesus.
The treads go over your face. It's just terrifying.
I mean, it's so interesting to think about that because, that was obviously the first real war where tanks were kind of invented and used. And they're like, well, shit, we need a way to kill these now. So they started to develop basic anti-tank rifles and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's going to be really interesting to see how they handle that overall.
The primary weapon was one grenade surrounded by 6 more grenades that were like
on a
literally
big stick.
tied to it, onto a big stick. I'm like, all right, this is how we kill tanks now. Like they just didn't have any time to invent something better than that.
Yeah.
The one thing I did like, and I only noticed it while being shot at by a tank, is that I was in a unit. We were trying to like, all right, let's get behind this thing. Let's try to do all this shit. He just kept shooting at the walls, and the walls were just disintegrating in front of us. We're like,
yep.
What do we even do?
That's Battlefield.
Crap. So we had to like keep going back. Yeah. And so every time we, basically what I figured out is when I got in the tank, I just destroyed every building around me. So it was just rubble. And I was like, come get me, bitches. It was awesome. I love that about Battlefield 1. Is it's just like, you start the map and it's like, oh, look at this little village. This is so great. But the end, it's all destroyed. Everything is rubble. And you're like, holy shit. I like that they've taken that sort of, I don't know what the hell they call that. The like, not levolution or whatever they call it.
Oh, fuck levolution. It's the worst word I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah. Whatever they call it, they actually use it to like some effect right now and are actually like
just dynamic destruction.
Dynamic destruction, yeah.
It's
and
cool.
they've got to be careful with that because, like, through the Battlefield games, ever since they started doing that, wasn't it? It was Bad Company 1 that first did the dynamic destruction, but that was console only. Then Bad Company 2 did it, so the guys on PC got to do it. And obviously, it's been in Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 as well. But every game, they've sort of either I think dialed it back a bit because I think it was in Bad Company 2 where they realized a long match there would literally be nothing left of the level by the end of it other than that you couldn't destroy the steel structure of the building, but you could blow off every fucking wall.
Yeah.
So there'd be like no cover left. Which
you had
get
map designers like just crying at their desk because it was like, I've designed this really cool map with like, okay, you go left here and then you can flank them over here. And then you're just like, yeah, but if I blow up everything in the map, it's just a flat plane. And then
so someone could just shoot you. It is, yeah. I mean, I know a lot of people love the idea of dynamic destruction. So do I. But you've got to understand how difficult it makes to design a map that actually works in a way. I think that's kind of why the Levolution thing sort of happened with Battlefield 4, where they had these big set-piece events, because I think that to some degree countered the problem of the level getting completely flattened, because something would happen which would then, halfway through the match completely change it.
Yeah.
I think that's why when they revealed that the Zeppelin could fall and blow up literally anywhere, people were really surprised because they thought that was like a set thing that happened at a certain point in a certain spot.
Yeah.
Because designing that was such an undertaking.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be
a Zeppelin fall on dudes. Like a Zeppelin fall on dudes and killed them in the game I was playing. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and like the little gondolas that like where the pilot sits or whatever, those can be like blown off and then fall on somebody. It's like absolutely insane.
It's
I think just to like address what you're talking about, I think instead of trying to scale back destruction too much, I think they're actually trying to put more effort into designing the time limit of the game modes.
Yeah.
So like before it was just like, hey, here's an hour-long game. Of course you're going to destroy everything in the map in an hour. But if you actually regulate the game modes a bit more, it's like, okay, we can destroy everything, but you're not going to be able to do that in the time period that you're given. So it'll be maybe more balanced. We'll have to see.
It probably also helps that not everybody is running around with a rocket launcher, 3 grenades, and 2 packs of C4. That probably limits the amount of shit that can get blown up.
We'll see. There's going to be artillery. They haven't added mortars to the game yet.
Geez.
Bombers,
Oh my God.
like
Artillery would be amazing.
bombs.
Back and just launch it at people. I like that they're including destruction in levels, because it's always one of the biggest take me out of the game moments. I especially had it for like Titanfall, for example. You're giant effing robot men, and like the world bullet holes appear and then disappear, like shrink up. And it's like, why am I not destroying all these little assholes are in these buildings? Rip the effing buildings down.
Yeah, it's just like, look at the power of my Titan. The Titan 4's is like, right, I'm ready to... he's in a shed. Fuck.
Yeah, I can't get him.
A shed, my only weakness.
Corrugated metal always kills me. There's corrugated metal in like every game, and you're like, I'll shoot that with the tank. And it's like indestructible corrugated.
Yeah. It always takes me out of a game when I realize I can't destroy something that is so obviously and easily destroyable. You're like,
yeah.
If this was a tactical situation, I wouldn't go in there. I'd blow the fucking thing up. Like there's, I hate it.
It's like that thing would fall down in a mild breeze, and I can't blow it up with a rocket launcher. Now, come on.
Yeah.
No, it always blew my mind. Bad Company 2 had the best destruction, but then they came out with their Vietnam expansion, and there was like literally grass huts in that, and they were indestructible. Nothing in the Vietnam expansion was destructible. So you just like dive into a grass hut and like a tank couldn't get you. And I was like, what's happening? What game is this? It's just like such a weird juxtaposition for an expansion.
Totally true. Yeah. I am relatively excited about that game. We'll see how.
Oh, the one more thing on destruction is the ground now. If you hit it with a big enough explosion, whether it's dynamite or a huge bomb from an airplane, not only does it create huge craters, and you can literally form like no man's land by just bombing areas enough, but the crater edges get steep enough that you can like deploy a bipod from a weapon on the edge of a crater.
So you can use it as cover and things like that.
Yeah, you can literally make your own cover as you like blow your way across the battlefield.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That does Sorry, go ahead.
You can also just stop tanks like from moving. Like if you keep making the ground as effed up as possible, they just go down and then get stuck.
Yeah. Not that it took much for World War I tanks to get stuck. They got stuck and failed all the time, like for no reason. So, a little bit of mud, stuck, isn't going anywhere. Minor bump in the road, well, your entire tank column's not going anywhere now. It's like, so you got to watch out for that. But I'm intrigued by it. We'll see how it goes. I mean, even if it is just, World War II in World War I's clothing, we haven't actually had a Battlefield 1942 in quite some time, and I think we're about ready for another one at this point. I'm digging that.
It's going to be the graphically best looking multiplayer shooter out as soon as it comes
totally.
out.
Ever.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Tri-planes, yo.
For me, it's going to be the sound.
Oh, yeah.
The thing I always dig about Battlefield isn't so much the way it looks, but the way it sounds. Like, DICE has special black magic that they use to make everything sound so authentic and have sound everywhere around you. And it's always, the ambience is always there. There's never a silent moment in that game. There's always shit going on, so I'm intrigued. I used to play Bad Company 2 with the War Tapes audio mode that was on, which basically compressed the fuck out of everything and made it sound like a news report of a war, where they'd actually film it on a camera. And it was just a really immersive mode, and I think a lot of people overlook the effect of audio on immersion in games. Maybe because they just mostly turn it off and put their own music on. It's like, no, not for Battlefield. You want to get right in that. Turn it up, hear everything. It all sounds so cool and so authentic.
It's one of those things that when it's done really well, you almost don't focus on it because it's just sort of subconscious, and you're like, wow, I'm having a lot of fun and I don't understand why, So, but it's the audio design is so good.
It makes a big difference. It absolutely does. Cool. Well, I'm glad to hear that it seems to be coming along well. We'll certainly see how that one goes. If you do want to check out a bunch of videos from Battlefield 1, by the way, LevelCapGaming, his channel is right there on the screen. So you've got a ton of footage on that, and a lot of it's raw as well. A lot of just here's a match. So
yeah, if you don't want to hear my annoying voice, just watch 45 minutes of raw gameplay.
There you go. It's better than watching a 2-minute trailer, ultimately.
I love chats. In chat, someone was like, I wonder if they're going to have naval combat. I would love that if it was just, hey, get aboard this cruise ship that also has guns on it. Let's go kill some people.
Oh, yeah, there was a lot of modified...
warships are hilarious.
Yeah, there's a lot of modified warships, and obviously, the submarine warfare was a thing, but the subs were really shitty, so...
Super jank subs.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Well, they are going to have naval combat in it.
Yeah,
So.
there is going to be some of it. Isn't one of the behemoths supposed to be a battleship?
Yeah, it's going to be like a dreadnought or battleship, whatever you classified it as. But
the ages of battleships before carriers went and ruined everything.
The good old days of battleships when you just got shelled from miles away.
The good old days of guns that were as big as a skyscraper. That you had to put them on a ship because if you put them on anything else, it would just explode.
They kept making the cannons bigger and bigger in World War One. I think. Did. Was it the Germans that made the Big Bertha or whatever it was? That they could fire 20 shots before they had to reline the entire barrel with metal because it just stripped away so much of the barrel every time it fired. And you're like, that's too big. That you made a gun that's too
You may
big.
have gone a little silly there. The idea of the mega gun, and railway guns and things like that. And there were some railway guns. The Germans had guns that were so large they were literally a train.
Yeah,
and they could
there's
only
one
move
that has
that way.
2 parallel train tracks because one train track was not enough to carry the weight of this gun. It's that's insane. You've gone insane.
Yes, it was nuts. The days of those, Jesus.
I could spend hours just looking up how utterly ridiculous some of the designs were for just
I do. When I dive in,
battleships are so silly.
I go into Wikipedia dives every once in a while where we'll just spend hours reading up on ironclads and dreadnoughts and all this ridiculous artillery that they had, and the evolution of German tanks, particularly in World War II, where it's what if we made it even bigger? It's no all the prototype shit, and it's the mouse tank, for instance, but then there was the rat tank that was never built. It's this thing this is ridiculous. This is all insane stuff.
Have you seen the German land ship design for World War II? It's the biggest concept design for a tank. It's like a moving city.
Yeah.
I love that that's a thing that happens throughout World War I and then into World War II. And then it kind of stops towards the end. But it's if we just make it bigger, it'll do
we just make it a little bit bigger, though.
No, guys, if we just make this bigger, though, it'll do more damage. And then finally someone's like, here's an atom bomb. But up until that point, people are like, what if we just make it bigger, though?
Yes.
And make it longer. Then it'll do more damage. And people are like, that's a good idea. Yeah, let's do that.
There was a lot of that, yeah.
I would just like to contribute that...
By all means.
For any of you out there who are wondering, what's the best way for me to prepare for Battlefield 1, you should really check out a beautiful work of art called Panzer Models
No.
No, just really get to know the tanks, because it'll your appreciation for Battlefield 1 will be on another level. Once you see those tanks naked, it's a whole different ball game.
Do you ride the tanks?
I don't think LevelCap has heard of the tank dating
might
sim.
I don't know what this Panzer model is.
Can you get inside and ride the tanks?
You
Should I
Can you get in the tanks and ride them?
yeah, you get inside of them. Yeah.
Yes.
You get in the tanks and you ride the tanks.
Consensually. You get inside of them consensually, of
yeah.
course.
Yeah, you have to know a tank before you can ride it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to know
You
how
have
it
to take them
works.
on some dates.
LevelCap's
You gotta figure out what
Googling
they
it,
like,
looking
what
at
they
it,
don't
and
like.
saying,
Yeah.
what the fuck are you people?
And then,
I haven't found what you're talking. I googled Panzer models and I'm like,
Yeah, it's models.
PanzerModeling.com.
If you
tank, you turn
how
it
do you
on,
spell
you
it? What is it?
flip
It's
them on.
Panzer Madels.
Madels.
Look that up and be forever scarred.
LS.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, okay. I
Panzer
see where we're
models.
going.
I see what's
I
happening
see
here.
where we're going.
Panzer Madels,
Still
the tank
eternally
dating sim.
disappointed that in that dating sim they were just girls and not tanks. I wanted so badly for them to just be tanks.
They were just girls named
fine.
as tanks.
Yeah,
It's like, hi,
really?
my name's M4 Sherman. Like, it's a.
She's
Is
so
that like a translation mishap?
such a-
or
like-
I don't believe it's a mishap. I'm fairly sure it was on purpose.
It's definitely These are tank girls.
I don't know
It's like
why.
somebody said the word tank girl to them, and they're like, "Okay,
They
we'll
took
make
it
a game
literally.
about that." And they're like,
Yeah.
"It's girls that are tanks, right?"
We've done battleship girls. We've done fighter jet girls. So tank girls was on the list. Somebody was gonna do it.
This is Japan's fault. This is all Japan's fault.
It
Yeah.
always is.
Oh, Japan.
Oh
So I'm
god.
just saying, if you want to really appreciate the tanks, there is a way. There are methods out there.
Indeed. Dodger, I'd love to hear what you have been playing this week, and please don't say Panzer Models. You're done with that game, right?
Well,
Please tell me you're
I
done with
I
it.
also got into the alpha for a new game.
Oh, okay.
It's called Full Metal Alchemist Battlefield, because really the only way to make that game better is to add equivalent exchange, I think. So don't look it up. It's not real. Okay. So
I just
what
typed that into the now discussing.
I
You're
know.
an
I saw the
asshole.
look on your face. Like, I'm gonna type this into Google and see what that is. It's not real.
God damn it.
It actually sounded cool, I was like, that could be
I'd play a
cool,
Full
like
Metal
spell
Alchemist
crafting
game.
I
Absolutely.
would too. I would totally play a first-person shooter where you also had alchemy. Mwah.
That would be
Sweet.
awesome.
Totally play that.
I'd play that, totally. What
Yeah,
have you
imagine
actually been
co-op
playing?
spell crafting. You need to like coordinate with somebody else to like cast a big spell. That'd be
Oh
sweet.
god, I
You
would kill
you
for
would have
that.
to take a moment to like draw the circle, to draw
Yeah.
the magic circles and
Mm.
stuff, and try not to get shot while you're doing that. Pick just the perfect spot to sit.
Yeah.
The 5-pointed
Um,
triangle, you fool, not 6. Oh god.
It's like, no, that summons the demon that eats us all.
Oh,
Like, well, shit, we
shoot.
lose the game now. Fuck.
Yeah.
The trolling potential would be unreal. What have you actually been playing, you lying dick?
Okay, so my life has been a lot of anime. We just had an anime expo. I've been
When is your life
finishing up-
not a lot of anime?
I know. Been finishing up all of the shows from the last season of anime so that I can start on the new season of anime. It's just like a
Very
lot.
important.
But
Question.
yes.
Why do you do that?
What do you mean?
Like, why did you need to finish the last season of anime right now? Like,
Because otherwise I'll never finish it. I'll never find out what happened to Sakamoto-kun.
Fuck.
I have to just
All
finish
right.
them. I have
Sure.
to just finish them so that I can move on with a clean
made it-
slate. Otherwise,
you
I'll be like,
basically made it seem like it
I
was your
never found
job."
out what happened to the bike girls.
you made it seem like it was your job, and I'm just wondering, do you have a show that you review all this on?
I have a
Say
video
yes,
that
so
I
feel
do.
like, okay,
Yes. I have a video that I do at the beginning of every season where
She
I'm
has an
like,
excuse
here are
now.
here are the shows.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the
All
only
right.
reason that video exists, so she's got an excuse to do that. It's not
Yeah.
actually her job.
It is kind of awesome to be like, honey, I really need to just sit here and watch anime tonight. I need to get this work done. Both Jesse and I played a game called Rusty Lake Hotel.
we did.
Okay, yeah, I
Which-
heard something about the ending of this. Do tell.
This game is
Bonkers.
honestly, yeah, but in a really awesome way. The idea of this game specifically is that you work at a hotel And there are all of these guests who are coming to stay for the next 5 nights, and they're all different animals. And then you go into the kitchen to find out how you can help with dinner, and the toad that runs the kitchen
Actually,
is like,
first off, Mr. Owl is like,
that's true.
I'm Mr. Owl.
That's true. Mr. Owl who owns the hotel.
Yeah, Mr. Owl owns the hotel. Raven Man is the guy at the front desk. There's a weird bat bell boy, and then a toad who cooks dinner.
Yeah.
And then shit goes down.
Yeah, and then you're given a cookbook, and they're like, here, help us find everything for dinner. And you realize that all of the meats that you're supposed to find are the meats of the visitors. So each night,
hell?
Yeah, so each night you're going into a different person's room and completing puzzles to murder them.
Yep.
And it's
What?
it's amazing.
Like
it's so cool.
This is the worst animal hotel. Like,
and while all this is happening,
styling, it's great.
oh
this
yeah,
is
the art
happening,
style looks great. Yeah.
there is some weird, crazy ass shit going on. Like you'll look out a window and a weird rabbit and a hood will walk by, and you're like, "What the fuck is?"
What is this? Or you see diagrams in some of the rooms, like some of the people who are staying at this hotel are like researching things, and you're like, what is this? Is this important? Whatever. I haven't seen anything like that. And then later on, you're like, it was important. It was important.
Yes. We won't.
So
spoil
it's like a point and
No,
click, basically, right?
It is. It's a point and click, like very, very puzzle heavy game.
Right.
You won't spoil the ending, but literally, you'll be like, what the fuck just even happened?
Yeah, both of us were like, what?
The best part was I beat it maybe a few hours before Dodger started playing. So I knew what the ending was, and I literally from in her office heard her go like, "What?" So I was like, "Oh, she finally beat it. All right, cool." Like I already knew what had happened. I was like, "Yeah, okay, she got the ending."
Yeah, it took like 3 hours. It's not super long, but apparently there are like 6 of them, and they're all connected, and they all happen in the same place, and they're all super fucked up. And now I want to play all of them.
Yeah, there's a bunch of. When you beat this game, if you do it at 100%, you get a code that can then be inputted into another one of these games that gives you something secret about this game. Like it's bonkers town, 100% bananas.
Super weird.
Right. That will be a one that probably will not be on my playlist, but okay.
I think you should play it. No,
No, you know I hate puzzle games. I'm not into that.
it's so fun though. It's so
You
fun.
only want it so that you'll find out what happens when I reach the end and also react in the same way. That's the only reason you want me to
Oh
play
god,
it.
you would make a video called, and now I'll spend 28 minutes talking about the ending of Rusty Lake Hotel.
Probably. I make a video that's longer than the actual game about it. Oh god. What else have you been playing this week? Or have you not had a chance? I know you've been busy.
I haven't had a chance to play a whole lot. I've been doing Overwatch, but completely avoiding competitive mode.
I think a lot of people have been avoiding competitive mode at the moment. Jesse got very vocal about it on Twitter.
Oh, everyone has been.
Painful,
Like, it
man.
seems like season 1 is just kind of, they've accepted it's going to be a shit show, and then hopefully season 2 will be better. But
I
I'm
have
like,
heard
I'm not even
nothing
gonna
but
bother.
complaints. Honestly, like, I just reached level 25. I'm like, do I want to press competitive mode? I'm like, actually, I don't. I think I'm happy with the I jump into a game, play for 10 minutes, and then leave with no consequences setup that Overwatch allows for. And I'm not interested in being stuck there for 40 minutes with people, arguing
Or
with
60
them.
minutes.
Or 60, yeah.
Mhm.
It's never a short match. To their own benefit, they made matchmaking so good that you're put against people who are roughly your skill level to the point where a usual game that you're like, this is a great 20-minute game I just played is now an hour. And you're like, oh my God. And every time I've played, every time they've said, we fixed this problem, or this bug's gone, I go back in and find a new one. A great
Jesus.
example of my new current stressful thing is if you're playing and someone on your team leaves, right? You have a short amount of time to just leave the game. If you leave, you can get out without any problems. But if you're, imagine you're winning. So like the team I was playing with, it was 5-6. We were down a person. We were still winning a King of the Hill session. We were one victory away from winning all of it. So we're like, F it, let's do this. We won. The amount of XP we got was the same amount as if we had not, like, because our guy left, we got like when like bink, we're like, wait, we were down a man, somehow still won, and that's what we get. Turns out if we had lost that, our loss would have been like a normal loss. So it would have been a massive drop, which is like, I don't know what the programming is there, who thought that. It's crazy. Like,
it sounds to me like the rewards just aren't worth the time invested.
Cloud9, I guess, streamed all 10 of their placement matches, like the whole team did.
Okay.
And what was interesting is that they all, won every match. They did great. For the most part, all of them were at 79. And the only person who is at 69 was their healer.
That's really bad. Just like, wow.
Like a huge difference because damage is taken into account so much more than anything
more than
else.
Healing? Wow, that's no good.
So when this also goes into when myself, Krendor, and Gmart all played, we did all 10 of our matches together, all had the exact same thing in the end. They all were 49 and I was 43. And I was like, all right, what's the explanation? The explanation is, one, I was a healer for most of it. Two, the other time I was a character that has like a low skill level. I was just in the background like Junkrat, but I was getting like plays of the game and stuff. So all these factors factor in. And then people are saying that MMR from your preseason stuff might factor in too, which for me totally screws me over because if that's a casual thing, I made a bunch of videos of me learning to play new characters, which involved a lot of like, well, I'm getting my ass kicked.
Getting fucked, yeah.
But if you're a person who went through and played only 3 characters and you're the best at, like, I'm the best Genji, so I play 600 hours of Genji, then you're like, I'm rank 70, so screw everyone. Like, that's not fair. And there's so many things I'm just like, y'all should have waited. Y'all should have taken your time and waited because this seems a little rushed. But that's just me. This is what I'm saying. Seems a little rushed to me.
I mean,
it's so weird because they took so much time getting this game out the door. Like, it was done years ago. It was like in a state that was playable compared to any other developer.
Totally.
Years ago. And then they're like, no, we got to tweak this and tweak that and get this working just right. And then they release it, and then like competitive, they're like, oh, let's just get it out the door. And it's like, okay, it's not working at all. Like, no. I just got so frustrated.
And it's live. Yeah, I haven't found a single person who has vocally said, yeah, I love competitive modes. Great. It's absolutely fantastic. Everyone was really hyped as it came out the door. And then immediately, within 24 hours, people realized, oh, this is not good. This doesn't make a lot of sense. Weirdly enough, and this sounds like a complete change of subject, but it really isn't. A mobile game that I play, and Dodger, I think you still play. Jesse doesn't play it anymore. Clash Royale just released their tournament mode, and we've been waiting for this mode for ages. That is also fucked up, badly designed shit. Like, not only is it not in any way interesting, it's not an actual tournament, it's just a timed leaderboard where you play as many games as you can within the time period, and then the winner is, like, the person that won the most games. It's not even a ratio or anything. Like, if someone plays more games than you, they literally are just higher on the board than you. That's
awesome.
It's like, wow, that sounds like a great tournament mode. And what makes matters worse is they decided to make the tournaments based on your locality. It's like play against local players. One, because they kind of wanted to minimize latency, I guess, and two, because they wanted to foster some sort of weird community feel. Guess what? You create a tournament in that game, it literally tells everybody in the world who looks at that tournament not only which town you live in, but the area of the town you live in.
It's so ridiculous.
It shows your house on Google Maps right there.
That sounds ridiculous, but when I first thought it, because I thought, oh, I'll set up a tournament maybe for our like viewers or whatever, because it costs like in-game currency to do it, because there's a prize pool. So like some generous person has to pay for the prize pool, which I think that's going to rapidly not become something that people do. But I thought, you know what? Okay, I'll throw like some gems in and do that. And it's like it had my location. I'm like, whoa. That not only is my town, but that's the area of my town that I'm currently in. So, like, okay, I'm going to turn off location services on my phone, because then they won't know where I am, right? So I restarted my phone, went back into the game, tried to set up a tournament. Not only didn't put my town, it put my longitude and latitude. GPS. And I went and looked that up on Google. I'm like, that's my fucking street. And I was like, The fuck?
Nope.
What? Who thought this was a good idea? I mean, you
Why
single-handedly.
is that like, what would be the purpose of that?
This is what I don't get. Like, this
If
is what
you
I don't.
lose the game and you want revenge, you know.
You can go and kill the person.
Go straight to their house, man.
So, you know, the thing about Clash Royale, especially high level, because I'm in the highest level arena. I'm in the Legendary Arena, which is like 3,000 plus trophies. I play mostly against Chinese people and Koreans at this point, which means that there's a fair amount of latency. And in a game like that, latency is not as important, but at really high level, it starts to matter. Because you do stuff like certain spells have a travel time. So you'll actually like preemptively fire a spell off. Because you know that guy's probably going to drop this creature to counter this creature at this specific time in this position. It fucks it the hell up if you get like a decent amount of latency because your stuff will drop down. I mean, it gets to the point where you're literally one swing of a creature can determine the game. So you're timing specifically your creatures to drop to aggro something so it doesn't aggro on your tower. So you could kill something before it takes its swing to blow your tower up and all that shit. You can't do it because of the latency problems. And when you're playing against people in Asia, it becomes a big problem. So I think maybe it had something to do with that. But they could have just done, I don't know, state or time zone. But it's like, no, region of small town in North Carolina. I was like, no.
Abort.
Yeah,
Stop.
absolutely. I mean, they literally made that unstreamable, like, because no one I think that's going to be a content creator for that game will ever create a tournament as a result of that. And they're the people who are likely to. You know, if I was going to create content about the game, I would be willing to invest money to create tournaments for other people. I'm totally cool with that. But I'm not cool with it when that happens. I just thought I'd bring it up because it's another example of a huge, really popular game releasing a competitive tournament mode that was utter fucking trash, that was really badly designed.
I think Overwatch is the opposite of that in that that's too much information. Overwatch suffers from not enough information. The way things happen in competitive mode, there's no transparency on why things are the way they are. And you only find out after the fact, after people complain, and then they release a thing like, this is why this is. It's like, we should know all this. One of the things I think is really frustrating a lot of people is in competitive, like, if you're going to keep the casual nature of the main game, cool. Love it. I love the main game. In competitive, I feel like we need player stats. Like, we need to know how other players are doing. And I know the right now it's like, no. We're trying to keep it like,
we want to hide that.
If you put the stats in, that makes people like really toxic. I don't know if they've played their own game, but it's already toxic. Welcome to every competitive game ever. Every competitive game is toxic. It's not.
I recall reading, like, I think it was a Wired article that claimed that how Overwatch got rid of all, is the least toxic game ever. It's like, you didn't fucking play it. You have no idea. People get salty about everything, even without that information. But it's something that Blizzard has been struggling with for a while. Like, I don't know if you remember, but they made a change to StarCraft a while ago, where if you were too low rank on ladder, like say you were like Silver League or Gold League, it didn't show your losses. It only showed you wins. Because they thought showing your losses would discourage people, and now that they're changing the ladder to give you a lot of info, like it'll show your MMR, it's very granular, it gives you a lot of information about like how well you're doing, because they actually realized that hiding those stats wasn't keeping people playing, it wasn't helping. And it's weird that they seem to have taken a bit of an opposite approach with Overwatch, where they said, "Hey, we have a competitive mode, but we're gonna still like treat you with kiddie gloves."
Here's the thing
that's highly dependent on knowing those stats and knowing how you're performing. So especially just from monitoring your own gameplay, because any competitive player wants to practice and work on things that they're bad at, and not having access to any of that information like really sucks. You know, it's like you can analyze your performance after a match.
Here's the thing: the rest of the game, I'm 1,000% okay with not having a ton of information if I'm playing just a normal, quick, casual match where I'm like, I'm going to dick around and be Genji and jump off shit and see where it gets me.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. I think it's fine. But in competitive mode, it's one of those things where it would be helpful to have information if you're going to try and make it competitive. I feel like competitive mode, it's like they took... Like they tried to fit a different concept into the core concept of the game they have now, which is it doesn't mesh. There's no, again, this is one of those things where I just feel like it was totally rushed. I
I
know
know,
they've probably been trying to fit it in there for a long time. Like, we're trying to figure out a way, but I would
It's
have
'cause people
rather
demanded it.
waited. They
You
just
know?
waited.
People demanded a competitive mode, a ranked mode of some description. I don't play Overwatch for that reason. Like
Exactly.
Overwatch is my filler game that I jump into. I play a couple of rounds, and a lot of people have said, "Oh, solo queue Overwatch is fucking terrible." I actually really like solo queue Overwatch because I don't really care about the result too much. Like I don't mind. I jump in, I play, I try to get better. That day I'm like, you know what? I'm probably, I want to focus on my Zarya play and maybe get my Zarya play a little bit better in the situations where we need a Zarya. If I need to switch, cool, I'll switch. But I'm just thinking today I'm going to do that. And if I feel like I've got a bit better with it, I don't even care if we lost. Like I don't mind. It's like, you know what? I feel good about my play. I had fun. I enjoyed myself. I feel like, if I ever went into competitive play, I would start to obsess over what my team was doing. The thing about stats in particular is a lot of people argue, well, you should hide the team stats because you'll just end up fighting with people. But the thing is that if you don't know why you lost because you're denied all of that information, it's hard for you to get better. If you know,
we play the blame game anyway.
Everyone blames everyone anyway.
Freaking random, man. He wasn't healing anyone, but you don't actually know that. You're just like.
I'll give you the perfect example of a game where that happened. Krendor and there were a bunch of the people who were playing, and it was on a map that really. It's such a huge map that you can't see what every single person's doing. We had a Widowmaker on our team, and the assumption is Widowmaker ain't doing shit because you never see what Widowmaker's doing ever. And if we had stats to prove what the Widowmaker was doing, we ended up, it was because these matches are so close all the time. That's, to again, it's credit. That's great matchmaking. They're always so close. At the very end, if you lose, you're like, what happened? Did someone not switch? Did we not
you look to someone to blame. It's the natural human condition to look to someone to blame.
And everyone went to that Widowmaker. Everyone yelled at that Widowmaker, even though at the end, the Widowmaker was like, I just got gold in like 4 things, guys. And it's like, well,
the Widowmaker was doing exactly what the Widowmaker was supposed to do.
Right.
We never saw the Widowmaker. We never knew what Widowmaker was doing. We never saw shots flying across. But Widowmaker was just putting in work behind the scenes. And we're like, all right. So we have no idea why we lost that. Either the other team was just way better, which we'd love to see stats for, or someone else fucked up. And it's like, all right, well, what happened? What was the change we needed to make?
I feel like people are more happy with a loss if they understand why it happened. And if they don't, then that's when the blame game, and the accusations start flying. And in order to make sure people can understand that, you actually need to be open with your information, not obfuscate it. And I think that, maybe that's something that they could learn from there. How
cool would it be? I would love it if they just went overboard with stats. Like they could have like almost a linear chart showing like deaths versus kills. You can be like, oh, that's the moment right there where they like wiped half our team and then they took the point. You can like stare at a graph and like analyze the game based on graphs.
StarCraft's got a lot of that. Dota's got a lot of that, and it's very, very helpful. I think with StarCraft in particular, trying to figure out like, why the fuck did I lose? This is ridiculous. I felt like I was playing great. You go to the end of game stats, I'm like, oh, hang on a minute. At this point in the game, he had 30 more workers than I did, but I didn't know that because that's in the fog of war. So that actually kind of made my frustration go away. So I'm like, oh, that was my fault. I totally fucked up because that guy managed that. Now I'm less mad, and now I know how I can get better at it. And the more of those stats you hide, the more difficult it becomes to get good at it. So
I will say one of the things that that I like about other competitive games is that the casual modes are so similar to the way that the competitive plays out. It's just maybe people trying harder. But with Overwatch, it's like I love being able to jump on for like Jesse was saying, a 15-minute or a 20-minute game. And for competitive, it's like, well, you better have an hour ready to kill. Like you don't know what you're getting in for. And that to me kind of hurts it because I like having an expectation of what I'm going in for. I don't want to be like sweating for like an hour, like playing my heart out and like, oh my God, that was just one game, like I could have got 3 casual games in that same period of time. And it's not that it isn't fun, but in the sense that it's also sort of they've worked in such a good progression mechanic to Overwatch. I want my freaking golden skins, I want that Soldier 76 golden assault rifle.
I am like, that would be the one reason to play it, I do want, I want the golden diva guns because
it's only 300 points. Go for it.
They look like diva is just like, what's the best way? Diva's a chav, right? So in England, we
Okay.
have, people who we refer to as chavs,
Uh-huh.
who generally like a lot of bling, like costume jewelry. They kind of look ridiculous. They also act like complete and total assholes. I feel Diva's a chav because she goldified her guns, but not anything else. So it sticks out like a sore fucking thumb. It also makes me think like she couldn't afford the rest of the mech, but it's like she got the golden guns though, so she just slapped them on and like it's like no accounting for taste kind of thing. I just love that idea about it. But I'm not
I'm
willing
still
to play
sad that
competitive to do
Roadhog's
that.
hook isn't gold.
That would be lovely.
Yeah.
I'd be cool with
I
that.
want to get this golden soldier assault rifle and then the golden camo for soldier and just like make
That
people
would be-
rage.
The oldest human being who ever lived.
Everybody hates
Yeah.
Soldier 76 because he's like, he's the easiest class to play, and it's like,
Because he's the dad.
yeah.
Because you always blame your dad for your own problems. Or dad.
Okay, that's the
Or
reason.
Dad
I never thought
76.
of that before.
that's the end
I think the longest game of Overwatch that I've ever played is this current Farrah Mercy game mode.
Oh, I don't even play those weekly brawls.
Oh, I
'cause
love
they're so
them.
silly.
I love them because it forces me to play characters that I never play. So I
That's
was like,
fair. Yeah.
this could like help me with my Farrah game. Holy
Mm-hmm.
shit. It is out of all of the crazy game modes that I've played so far, this one is bananas. Like the overtime goes on forever because everybody's just flying all over the place.
Reviving.
There are reses going on
Oh,
everywhere. You're just like,
only
sounds
fair
horrible.
and mercy. I didn't play that one. That's
Only
nobody.
Fair and
Everybody
Mercy.
missing every single shot ever taken all game long.
That's
it's
horrible.
amazing. Everybody's just flying constantly. It
Oh,
looks
God.
crazy.
It's like, if I want that shit, I'll play Tribes. Thank you very much.
It's fun.
Oh, God.
It's fun. But it's this weekly brawl. The games go on so long.
Yeah, I feel like that's the biggest thing is the like duality of this game. Really, the last few games Blizzard has made where it's like casual, here's a competitive mode. And I think Overwatch is the shining example of it right now, in that it's a game that is so much fun to play at a casual level. It gives you a thing that's like, yeah, you're only Mercy and Farrah, enjoy flying around and blowing each other up and rezzing everyone. How wacky is this? Also in the same like scene, it's like, here's your competitive game that's built around those like that, which
Trying
is
to
just,
be all things to all men,
Yeah,
I don't think it's working out so well. Yeah.
I yeah,
unfortunate.
they just needed more. They just should have taken more time. I don't know who the big shot over there who was like, we need it now, but should have waited.
The amount of rounds that you're required to play through also, like, I would be fine if they had the exact same rules in terms of the quantity of rounds as casual, because I don't need my competitive match to really, really analyze who is the better team and give us a nice hour-long match to like really
I'd
decide.
rather lose and
I'll
just
decide,
get
Get on with
I'll
it.
decide in 20 minutes. And if you want to play an esports tournament, then by all means, like, either add more rounds or just play 10 games, or 20 games, whatever. And like, that can be fine. Have longer games for esports, but for just like competitive where you're just teaming up with friends online, we don't need to spend a freaking hour.
Yeah, it is a bit strange. It's like saying, oh well, I'm a high ladder on StarCraft, so that means that all my games are now best of fives. It's like no, that just leave that for the tournaments, and it is a bit of a weird way to do it. I personally think the better way to do it would be how Dirty Bomb does it, which usually, if you want to kind of play the competitive ranked, I think it's stopwatch that they usually do, and it's just like, all right, one team's attacking, the other team's defending, and they set the time, and then the other guys to beat the time. And that's pretty much how they do it. It's not too long. It seems to work out fairly well. Evidently, Blizzard wanted to do something different. I don't know if it's worked out. Apparently, it hasn't, because everyone's bloody complaining about it. So, there you go.
Again, chat's like, Overwatch guys said very early on they wanted this to be competitive from the beginning, which is true. That's what they said. But, I mean, if that's the case, then why is this the Overwatch competitive mode we got?
I think they'll get there. I mean, before they even
Of course they will. Of course they will.
Yeah, before they even release this, they're like, we know it's not what people want right now. We've got a patch coming out. It's all the stuff is fixed supposedly or something like that. And it's like, okay. So it's like they're sort of setting us up.
Apparently, season 2, everything will be fixed and they'll have like everything done, which is cool. You should have just waited until August.
Wait till then.
Like, all right, I get you. Like, the world wanted to have competitive mode, but maybe you don't always listen to the fans on this one. Maybe
Daddy, I want it now!
Yeah. Sorry, Veruca. Maybe we'll wait till August.
I want the world. I want the whole world.
Yeah. Maybe
Candies
not.
and prizes and games of all sizes. Cheers!
You're the worst. We're going to a break, ladies and gentlemen. Today's show is sponsored by squarespace.com/cooptional. I present to you maybe the worst ad I have ever written for this. And
Good.
But it will be the conclusion to our epic story arc. I don't think they're going to drop us after this one. I really do. We're going to reach that point where they're like, your ads are getting too fucking weird. We haven't got there yet, but this might be it. We'll be back after the break, folks, to talk more about the games we've been playing this week. You are watching the Co-optional podcast with our special guest, LevelCapGaming. Do not go anywhere. And now a word from our sponsors. Well, the results from MyRealCox.com are in. It's as we feared. The Jesse Cox that returned from weeks of mysterious absence is a fraud.
That's all well and good, but what use is knowing that if we can't prove it?
I know. It turns out that a casual internet poll isn't admissible as evidence in a court of law. We live in dark times.
You have to fix this. We can't have fake cocks all over our show.
I agree. We have betrayed our audience by shoving fake cocks in their faces. We must right this injustice at once, but how can we prove that this man is an imposter?
Well, we could ask him a bunch of questions that only the real Jesse Cox would know the answers to.
Yes, but can we do that in a convoluted manner using Squarespace?
Squarespace?
Yes, it's a service that lets you build a website for whatever you'd like with absolutely no experience required.
I know what Squarespace is. I negotiated the damn sponsorship.
No, sorry, it's sort of a reflex at this point. Nervous tick, if you will. I actually don't know why I keep saying that.
Maybe we could set some kind of trap, lure him into a cage with some sort of delicious bait, and then once he's captured, get him to admit he's not the real Cox.
I know exactly what will lure him in. 10% off his first order at squarespace.com/cooptional.
I was thinking more along the lines of his favorite food or Yennefer cosplayer, not discounted web services.
Everyone loves discounted web services. You know what's even better? New Squarespace domains. Squarespace takes out all the hidden fees and lets you set up a domain in just minutes for a straightforward, honest price. No hassle, no nonsense, no fuss.
Why the hell are you blithering about domain names at a time like this? There's Cox on the loose and we have to expose the Cox to the world.
You do know that I wrote the script to make you say Cox in as many awkward contexts as possible, right?
Why aren't you taking this seriously?
Perhaps I'd take you seriously if you presented this to me in the form of a professional-looking website on Squarespace. Have you considered a portfolio? A stylish-looking gallery, perhaps? Maybe you could present your findings on a slickly designed blog. You know, the kind that you could just set up in minutes on Squarespace.
I don't even recognize you anymore. Ever since you started using Squarespace, you've stopped acting like a real human being. We sit down for dinner and all you want to talk about is Squarespace. In the car, Squarespace. In the bed, Squarespace. It's like you're not a real person anymore. You're like some sort of fake.
I have no
idea what you mean.
Oh, God!
Squarespace, build a website for whatever you'd like. Showcase your creations to the world. Set up a store with powerful e-commerce tools. Create your portfolio. Promote your business. Celebrate your wedding. These are just a few of the things that you can do beautifully on Squarespace with absolutely no experience required. Pick up a unique domain for your site at squarespace.com/cooptional and get 10% off your first order. Make your mark on the internet today. Squarespace. Set your website apart.
Because who knows when an imposter might show up?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Co-optional Dogcast. That is a dog right there.
That's a dog.
That's a dog. That is an awesome-looking dog. To be fair, all dogs are awesome-looking dogs.
Oh, dog.
Aww.
There's an
Look at it.
awesome
Look at it.
dog.
Look at it.
There was a debate going on yesterday over whether or not people love pugs because they're actually adorable or if they love pugs because they feel sorry for them.
Hmm.
It was
Might be a
very
bit of column A, a bit of
depressing
column B, right?
conversation.
Seems like an intense debate there.
It was hard. Like, I couldn't even defend myself because I kept being like, but they're so like tiny and fat and they snort. And they were like, yeah, because you feel bad for it.
You feel bad for them because they have genetic disorders that make them do that.
Like all of that is like, oh, you're so unfortunate. And I was like, no, they're cute, but like because I'm unfortunate, I don't know. I don't know.
I think there's an
like,
element of that.
Yeah, that's like why I want one of those bulldogs. Is like he like walks like this. And he's got
yeah,
like
the ones that look like they've worked out too much at the gym.
Yes, I want one of those. And
Bro, do you
yeah,
even
and I
lift?
kind of like him because he looks like a mess. He looks like a giant mess. And I want that in my life. I want it. Yeah. Like, you ugly son of a, you love me so much. She's like, yeah, I do. I totally love you. I want that. Yeah, thank you. I want that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'll stick to giant and majestic. That's the way to go with dogs.
Yeah. Dog breeding is totally crazy, though. I mean,
It is.
little guy is so small that like her kneecaps pop out every now and then just because of breeding. It's like
What?
Yeah.
so
it's-
small that the grooves in the bones aren't just like deep enough, so the kneecaps will just pop out while they're running. And like,
Yeah.
okay, that's great. That's just a breeding defect. Awesome.
Yeah, that's the
The-
reason why a lot of that's regulated now.
My one of my cats, Watson, when they were looking at her, they were like, she seems like she's a purebred, so it's weird that she was obviously abandoned, but like at the same time she was a runt, so it might have been that there was a breeder who was like, oh, this cat isn't going to sell for anything, and then just got rid of it. And I was like, that's so fucked up.
Well, I mean, you say that, but the reason we have our second cat is because she has flat-chested kitten syndrome and is a runt, and is probably not gonna. She's very fragile. She might not live a full life. She was basically thrown in for free from the breeder because the breeder knew she wouldn't be able to sell her. It was either that or the breeder was just going to keep her, assuming that the breeder was being honest about it, was just going to keep her because there's no way that anyone would take her. But yeah, so we kind of rescued her from that. But that's for the very same reason, because she was a runt, and that's not what, if you're going for a purebred animal, and there are definitely reasons, there are legitimate reasons to do that, then you would not go for something like that. They'd probably end up in a shelter. So there you go. Anyway,
Joke's on you, because Watson's best kitty.
Mhm.
Well, one of two best kitties alongside of Sherlock.
Indeed.
Those shelter dogs need love too.
They do, absolutely.
Yeah, shelter
Absolutely.
animals. Best.
All right, so talk a little bit more about. Stop that. No one's gonna get sympathy that way.
Oh, should we switch back to Veruca Salt? Was that better?
Don't care how I want it now.
You just ruin my
listen
show
here,
every
Walker.
single week.
My daughter needs to get some candy and shit. She does.
But Daddy, I want it now.
You heard her, Wonka. What are you gonna do about that?
Get out of my factory. Okay, all right. Talk a little bit more about the games we've been playing this week. Can I talk about Furi? Because
Do it.
there's a lot of people streaming
That just came
Furi
out
right
today.
now. That just
That
came
just-
out today. Yep.
I'm so excited to play that after hearing you talk about it.
I think it'll be your kind of game. I mean, you're the sort of person that, for pleasure, plays Volgar the Viking. So I can understand that you like difficult games. So this game is basically a boss. It's nothing but bosses. And it's really cool aesthetically. It's by the manga artist who did Afro Samurai. So it looks pretty, pretty stylish. And the whole game is boss fights and then walking or cutscene. Then another boss fight. Walking, cutscene, boss fight. And that's the whole thing. And it's done from, I guess, a sort of pseudo-isometric perspective, sort of top-down-ish twin stick. And you have a sword, which can do sort of a basic 4-hit combo. It can also be charged. You have a gun that can shoot or do a charge shot. You can do a parry, a dash, and you use those things to fight bosses, which have a fuckload of phases to them. The second boss has 6 phases. Whereas you often think about boss fights, and you think about maybe like the whole Dark Souls series. And, in Dark Souls 2 or 3, there's like some bosses that have 2 or maybe 3 phases. Yeah, your second boss here has 6, and I think there are probably bosses that have more than that. So it's almost... It's a lot of endurance. Like, the boss fights are quite long, and you've got to consistently be on your toes, because, of course, when it kicks into the next phase, that moveset can completely change. That boss can be doing completely different shit. So,
This
You
is so
get-
fun to
Start
watch
over.
now.
If you die, do you have to start over the boss fight?
You
from
get
the start?
3 lives, and if you lose a life, you get all your health back, but so does the boss, but you stay in whatever the
Oh.
current boss's phase is.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if
Okay.
you're in phase 3 and you lose a life, you won't go back to phase 1 again. But if you've taken off a bunch of the boss's HP, that HP is going to regenerate to full. So it basically takes you back to the start of that phase. But if you lose 3 lives, you have to start the whole thing again.
What is the boss? He looks like some sort of robot worm.
So she is we don't really know. Like, I don't want to spoil too much of the story, but the companion that you have was sort of explaining that she'd been imprisoned in a prison within a prison, and she's got some crazy powers, and they kind of restrict that powers by putting this sort of giant helmet on her, and she's been imprisoned for God knows how long, so she's gone insane. And she's on, like, wheels for whatever reason. And I think you're currently watching phase 3 where she breaks the handcuffs around her hands and she grabs a scythe off the back of her fucking wheels or whatever and starts attacking you with it. There's a phase where she breaks all of her restraints and she gets full use of her limbs again. So she completely changes her moveset and everything. I don't know what she is. She's fucking crazy and she screams at you a lot. That's all I know. And she
She's
can fire
Cyclops.
lasers from her head.
I like that she has handcuffs, but they left the scythe on her.
Yes,
Like,
that was a little odd. It's like she'll never get out of these.
weapons,
you know?
But just put these handcuffs on.
Yeah, just leave her weapon there. She'll never
Dude,
be able
this
to get at
game
that anyway.
looks so fun. And I love the style of it too.
The style's great. You know, it's a lot of dodging, a lot of waiting for your opportunity to strike. This enemy in particular will dodge a lot of your attacks, so you've got to wait for her usually to finish an attack. It's a lot of punishing her, you know, as she's getting out of an animation. And then every phase has a close combat phase to it. So the main phase is you just sort of running around the arena, but then if you get her down to her red health bar in that phase, you get into close quarters with her where you're restricted to being very close, and that's where she'll do a bunch of close range attacks. You've got to dodge them and wait for your opportunity to get a hit in, and then once you beat that, it gets to the next phase and all that shit. So it's obviously being played a lot on Twitch right now because people love watching people play hard as fuck games, and I found this game challenging. I mean, you know, I'm pretty terrible at video games, but I beat the first couple of bosses on it, and then I did my little video on it, and it took me a while, but, you know, you slowly learn her attack patterns, you learn the phases, you learn the best way to counter, you learn to do all that shit, and it does have a reasonable amount of margin for error. Like, you can take some hits, and you'll still be okay. You know, it's not like a big fight where it's like, oh, you get hit once and you're dead, or you get hit twice and you're dead. No. But the thing is, the boss fights are so long that if that were the case, it would be frustrating as fuck. So you're allowed to make some mistakes, but the game's still pretty damn punishing, because it takes a long time to bring the bosses down. The music's also great. It's absolutely fantastic. So if you like electro soundtracks in particular, a lot of really like pulse-pounding electronic stuff, it's got that in spades.
Sick.
So, yeah, a lot of people are playing it on Twitch right now, I think for that very reason. You know, they are looking for big, hard boss fights and stuff. It's very entertaining to watch people do that. And if that's what you're looking for, then you might want to have a look at Furi. I do have a video up on my channel right now that explains it in more detail and shows that I just do the second boss fight from start to finish. It takes like 15 minutes. And that's without dying. That's 15 minutes just... That's how long it takes to kill it. So, yeah, it's bonkers. It's absolutely crazy. Oh, that's called Furi, spelled F-U-R-I. It's also free on PlayStation Plus, by the way.
Interesting.
If you got a PS4, and you have PlayStation Plus, you can play for free, which is a pretty decent deal. I'd take that. So make sure you download it before the end of the month, before they change the games, if you want to play it on console. Yeah, so I'm playing that. I've also I'm sorry, I'm going to have to apologize in advance. I started playing an MMO again.
DB, no.
I know. I felt like I needed something. I love Jesse's fake concern. It's because he still plays WoW. Oh,
God, that must be the worst.
that's terrible. Yeah, so there was a game that had a head start that looked kind of interesting on Steam called Riders of Icarus, and I decided, like, you know what, I haven't played an MMO in a while, and I feel like something like mindless, that just a little bit grindy, just to sort of go into a trance and play for a little while. So I thought, screw it, why not? I'll try Riders of Icarus. What is it? Well, it's a Korean MMO, and their big gimmick is that you can tame almost any creature in the world and then ride it.
Okay.
And you can collect different mounts, and there are flying mounts and land mounts, and there are a shitload of them. and all the mounts have different stats and different skills. So some people have said, hey, it's a little kind of like Pokemon in that respect, where you got to try and collect as many mounts as possible. It's like, kinda, yeah. I got a kangaroo, which I was very happy with. Just big fantasy kangaroo. It's shit, but it's a kangaroo. It's like a 1-star mount, and it's pointless.
You get to name them.
Yeah, I believe you do. You can name them. You can also turn them into a pet that will fight with you. You know, like playing a hunter class in WoW. You can turn your mount into a pet that will be like your companion that will fight with you and have abilities and attack the enemy. So kind of every class is also a hunter in that respect, and you get a little scroll to turn your mount into a pet and shit like that. So you can have a collection of pets that will fight and a collection of pets that you ride around.
Okay, but having known you for a decent amount of time, I know that when you really want to say that a game is way too grindy for you, you'll lead it with, it's a Korean MMO. That's like all you have to say, and we're like, okay, it's too grindy. It's too grindy for TB. So you've established this is a Korean MMO right off the bat, but you enjoy it. Does it have the grindy elements that you hate or not?
I mean, it just reminds me of WoW, really. Like it's the good old quest experience structure. You know, it has some definitely Asian elements, particularly the fact that every time you pick a male character, they're in full fucking armor. It's very ornamented, but it looks very sensible. Pick the female, and it's like, that's a bikini. Like, that's not a real thing. It's like, yep, that sounds like a Korean MMO to me. They pull that shit a lot. But it's way more westernized than a lot of the older stuff is. You know, I seem to be leveling at a relatively reasonable pace from what I can tell. Doesn't seem to be too crazy. I think the game is going to be free to play. I got in on the Head Start sort of starter pack thingy, and I looked at the store that it's got, the cash shop. It doesn't seem like it's got too many things that you would really need. I think what they're going to get you on is bags. Like, you get a bag early on, like for inventory space, and I did notice that they were selling bags in the cash shop, so I have a feeling they might fuck with you on that. I already found that, like, with the starting bag, I was really, it was really filling my inventory space up very quickly. So I was like, oh god, is this going to be a case of that I've got to just buy a bunch of bags on the cash shop or whatever? The other stuff mostly seems like convenience items. Like, you can buy like a portable auction house, you can buy a portable storage. We actually got all of those as part of the starter pack, so we didn't need to buy any of them. And they have a kind of skin lottery thing for your mounts, where you spend a small amount of their currency, and I believe you can actually earn this currency in the game as well, just by playing it. And you can get a random box which has a random skin for a random creature, which is in itself a bit shitty because I tried it once just because I was curious, and it's like, it gave me a skin for a thing that I don't have. Admittedly, you can tame every creature in the game. It's just like, each zone has certain creatures in it, and you get a bestiary which tells you, here are all the common creatures, and there's like a few rare spawns or like boss guys that you can train, and sometimes you need to collect items to be able to train them. You have to get your training level higher or whatever. I wanted to get this giant fucking spider thing.
Different skin for can you get like a zebra skin for a kangaroo? Like,
I don't believe so. It's just like they've got a couple of skins for like the kangaroo. It's like, this is a golden kangaroo, or this is a flaming kangaroo, or whatever. Ooh. I don't believe you can transmogrify it like that. But what I did find is the skins seem to also have stats on them, because I'm pretty sure the starter pack came with a wolf, and then it came with an obsidian skin for the wolf. And I looked at them, it's like, hang on a minute, that moves faster than the regular wolf. So...
no!
There's definitely a bit of like, right, so you can pay for a little bit of an advantage. But, I mean, and that's a very Korean thing, the whole cash shop. It's a Nexon published game, Nexon Korea published. They do that shit all the time. So it's a good old login for daily rewards and, gather this currency and stuff. But for the most part, from what I've seen to start with, the stuff doesn't really seem to interfere too much. But outside of that, it's just a kind of a regular... do quests, get loot kind of thing. The combat system is very much, even though they claim you can play action combat or hotkey combat, the action combat is really kind of just hotkey combat. It's just, it changes the way you move the camera, and some of the skills are bound to the mouse clicks. The combat's, it's a bit unresponsive, I found. I found like it's almost like there's a bit of a delay on everything. I don't know if that's a server issue or whatever. But what I will say about the combat, I'm playing an assassin character in it, and there's some interesting stuff. Like, there's a dodge move you can do by double tapping a direction, and after a dodge, if you use a skill, the skill gets a different property. So instead of being like, I think there was one where it's like a double slash, but if you dodge before it, it becomes a charge that just does one slash, and it hits multiple creatures. So you're kind of encouraged to dodge in and dodge out of combat. You can also fight in the air, and the game has mounted combat too. So you can get weapons that you can use on your mounts, and you can actually fight in the air on a flying mount, or you can fight on like a horse on the ground, which I haven't got to that bit yet. I only just got my first flying mount, which is a very, very basic one, although I got that after a few hours of play. So I'm, it may be interesting. I will say the game only has one racial choice, which is just like humans. It's not, if you like playing different races like dwarves and elves and shit, they don't have any of that. And I think the game has like 5 or 6 classes, so there doesn't seem to be, the progression so far has been fairly basic, but, for me, it was just a bit of a time waster. And I do like the idea of running it. I've basically spent a lot of time running around the zone trying to find the different mounts. Because I'm like, I wonder what the kangaroo, what the stats on the kangaroo are. Because you can even get gear to equip your mount with. So you get like armor for your mount and stuff like that. So it's, and the flying feels pretty good too. You've got like a glide, which makes you move really, really fast. And kind of unlike WoW, the flying like actually kind of feels like flying. You can't just like turn on a dime. Like the mounts kind of have turning circles, and it's like you are actually flying a something rather than just a horse that can spin around at 360 degrees and really, really quickly by just spinning the mouse or whatever. So yeah, I mean, I'm not rating it as great or whatever, but I'm having a decent enough time with it. If people just want to try a different MMO, then it's not shit. So we'll see. We'll see how
it's not shit.
Yeah.
Good,
I mean, really, for me, it's just a time waster, ultimately. Which is why I'm not streaming it, because people will ruin it for me. They always do. Now I'm just getting depressed.
It looks nice.
Yeah, it uses the Cry engine. It's not a bad-looking game. The art style, again, is very Korean. The whole everyone looks perfectly beautiful. Like, the men have that sort of perfect... What's the anime term, Dodger, for people?
They're bishis.
Bishi, I guess, yeah.
They're bishonen.
Very bishi face, the women are all absolutely perfect in every way. Like,
it means a beautiful boy.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was
kind of beautiful man, very sort of like almost feminine features.
Very feminine looking, yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of Korean games look that way.
So not this. Gotcha. So I'm
not especially. No, you're not bishi, Jesse. I'm sorry.
Fuck.
Sky would call you a bear, I think.
I guess I won't. Oh, Biscuit Bear, thank you.
Dear God. What else has everyone been playing this week? Jesse, throw a hat into the ring. I'm sure you've got something.
Yeah, I just started playing it today on stream, and I'm going to try to play it again tomorrow, because it's apparently Bonkers Games is where I live right now. It's a game called Assemblance.
I bought that, and I haven't played it yet.
I've never heard of that. What's that all about?
You know what? I didn't hear of it either until someone said you got to play it, and then I looked it up on Steam. It's like Assemblance, but a semblance, but it's a semblance all word. The way the game starts out is literally red sirens and shit are flashing, and a guy's like, yo, are you gonna do something? You should do something. Something's happening. You should do something. I'm like, all right. And you go up to a console, you press the button. It's like, hey, all right. I just want to make sure you're good, because every time someone comes in this damn thing, I got to make sure they're good. So you good? It's like,
so it looks like a first-person exploration game. Is that what it is?
But through dreams and reality. So I guess the basic premise from what I can gather is that you are a person who is subjecting yourself to an experiment in which you worked at a lab, and while working at the lab, you created essentially a holodeck, but it's a holodeck that lets you relive your memories. And you discover a bunch of things that I won't explain about it, but that's like the basic premise. And of course, it's a mind trippy game. So apparently today I got the bad ending. Who knew?
No.
And I was told there are 6 more endings to get.
How long is the playthrough?
It took me an hour and a half to get the bad ending. So I imagine that's also because it's also a game where it gives you clues and it's not. It's like an old school puzzle game where it doesn't guide you. You'll hear a guy be like, "You used to spend hours at your office," and you're like, "Oh, so I probably should go back to my office and like do something with the time there." Gotcha. But it takes, it took me to be like, oh shit, I'm dumb, and like go back, like that. So
it's basically just a walking simulator. Like, is that the gameplay style? Just you walk around and look at things.
It's very much like PT's gameplay style, where you could like zoom into things, so you had to zoom in. That's how you activate things. You can interact with other things, and yeah, it's not a scary game, but it's definitely a game where you will feel uncomfortable. Like, it's designed to make you be like, what? Yeah, there's a lot of moments where you think it's about to be like a jump scare, but it's not. It's just a like, here's something that'll be unsettling for the next 5 minutes. You're like, okay. Yeah, it is a creepy game.
Are you gonna wind up having another Thursday where we both play the same game? Because
might be. It might take me forever to beat this thing. I don't know.
Because I planned on playing this on Thursday. That's so funny.
Yeah. I played it today and was just like, okay. Yeah. I downloaded that today, and I haven't played it yet, but it's a game we talked about last week that I knew I had to play, and it finally came out. The Temporal Invasion, which is that like ARG game where it's all the answers are online, so you have to play the game, but also
that puzzle game where you've got to look up all the shit on the internet.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm excited to play that. I just downloaded it. I have no idea what I'm getting into, but that's like next on my list.
You stopped playing normal games a long time ago, didn't you?
Well, most of the normal games I played for like, Let's Plays and stuff. And so in my spare time, I'm looking for a game that is short and sweet, and that those usually tend to be the weird ones. The games that are just total bonkers. I started playing Zero Escape, Zero Time Dilemma.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Tell me about that, because you seemed like you were into it, from what I could tell.
It's an anime game, but it's anime Saw. So essentially, you are 9 people, all in a bunker together, and this guy who wears like one of the old plague doctor masks is like, "Hey gang, you're part of my little experiment, and you can leave at any time, but here's the deal. In order to get access to the 6 codes that let you leave, 6 of you have to die." So tough. And the whole premise is that, at least for me, it was like, how do I keep all these kids alive? But I guess you can go through the game, because when I looked at it, there's literally 100 paths you can go. So there's multiple ways you can end the game. And I guess this is the 3rd in a series of 3 games.
It is, yes.
Which I'm now waiting for the other 2, because apparently they are coming out to PC, maybe?
Yeah, they're going to put on PC. They were originally like PlayStation Vita, I think, was the last one.
I was going to say, I didn't even know that the first one got to PC.
I didn't.
No, it didn't. They aren't out.
Oh, it didn't.
Yet.
It didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wasn't that just on that was Nintendo DS, right? The first one, I think.
Yeah. They announced it at Anime Expo that they're going to bring them to new consoles and PC. So that's cool.
I want to know how.
Awesome.
Can you explain how those games actually play? Because the impression that I got from looking at them was that they were sort of like visual novels, but they had puzzles in them.
It's a mix of 2. So
okay.
Literally my like hour 20 minutes or however long I played of is just the visual novel part.
Okay. Right.
But what happens is you do visual novel, choice. And then outcome. Then you can switch between the 3 teams, because you're split into teams of 3. And then for one of mine, it was major choice. Then you go to the next team, and they're like what their part of this choice is. Then the next team, what their part of this choice is. So all the teams, you're learning about them, and you're interacting, and you're getting backstory, but they're also in part of this choice. Then you get another choice, and another choice. Then eventually it's like, now we're in the main story, and Team C, for example, is in a room, and there's a way to get out, but there's also a way that someone dies in this room. So you then start the puzzle aspect of the room. And sometimes, from what I've been told, it's super RNG based. So like, depending on when you decide to do the puzzle and when it all of it, someone could just die because, which people are like, yeah, don't get too connected to characters, because sometimes you might just lose one. And
is it a bit like that sounds a bit like Until Dawn? Is that? I mean, am I on the right track there?
I Until Dawn had a lot of like
It's not QTEs, right?
No. It's not QTE. It's you're like puzzle solving in a room. Yeah, I didn't experience any QTE, but that could be totally different. I haven't played the other 2 games, so I don't know. I have no clue. But what I played was super entertaining, but it was definitely one of those things where I realized I need to go back and play the others because, perfect example, one of the characters, so if you're a fan of the series, you know, so I don't think it's really a spoiler, but one of the characters is with these 2 other people in a room, and he's like, or the girl's like, you know, you talk pretty weird for, you know, someone who's your age, and the guy's like, oh yes, that's because I come from the year 2075 and I'm a soul trapped in this old body. And you're like,
I'm sorry, what?
Exactly. You're like,
It's an icebreaker. It's an
I
icebreaker.
think it's the same devs that made Danganronpa, I think.
Spike Chunsoft.
Pretty sure.
Yeah,
it's super bonkers.
Yeah, so it's just like a high stakes situation with off the wall characters, right?
Right.
Yeah, there's Boob Girl and there's little boy who has a helmet on his head that you don't know why the helmet's on his head. There's like the firefighter guy who's like the truth and justice dude who's like, don't worry, I'll get us out of here. Then there's the little redhead girl who's infatuated with the guy. And then there's the emo kid who the entire time is just like, told you we were all gonna die. You know, like it's all
the whole thing
tropes.
sounds like Japanese Saw 2, where everyone's like trapped in a house and trying to get out, and people are dying constantly.
Yeah, it's definitely it's Saw, but it's anime Saw, and it's super entertaining. And I was like, oh, I want to play this, and I'm gonna play this, but I need to play the other 2 first because every time I have a conversation, I'm like, wait, what? Like every conversation you have with them is like, hold up, that's crazy. But you get hints that they were from the previous games. So you're like, oh, maybe there's a story here that I need to know before I play this one. So that's where I'm at with that. But it was very entertaining. I've never been so entertained with an anime game in a long since Honey Pop, because that was entertaining.
Honey Pop is entertaining for
reasons.
different reasons.
Yes, but for different reasons.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah, Boob Helmet and the firefighter, and emo kid, and Red, and the twins that weren't twins, and the guy who, oh god, it's so weird. It's so weird. It's a
Without
weird
knowing
game.
anything about this game, none of what you're saying makes sense at all.
I will just say, there's a way to end the game in 5 minutes. I'll tell you that. I discovered that ending. I was like,
kill the 6 people right at the start, I imagine. That's what I was going to ask is like, so if you need to kill 6 people to get out of there,
At the very beginning,
you just
literally,
do it?
have
what
a
if
bunch
you
of
just
necks
kill
and rock
6
out.
people?
literally the very first challenge, or the very first like big decision, is the bad guy says, hey, just vote for a team and all 3 of them will die. I'll give you a head start. Like that's literally the first challenge. So my challenge as a player was like, yo, how can I make it so everyone lives through this? And so that's what I spent the entire Fan Friday doing, was like, all right, how do I
Trying to
keep
fix
all
this.
these kids alive? Yeah.
I
Right.
fucking won. I just say, all right, screw it, do it.
Yeah, that was my approach too. I was like, how do we kill 6 of them the fastest then? How can we do that?
How do you
It's
win the
a
quickest?
time
Yeah.
record game, right? It's time trial.
Well, the
Yeah.
problem for me was every character, like every team had at least one character I was like, I want to know more about this person. Like there were every team had someone, like one team had the kid with the helmet on. I was like, who the fuck is this kid? Where's this kid from? And one team was like,
Probably a little old man.
I have no clue. One team was this was my firefighter dude. I was like, I got to keep him alive. He's my AC Slater. I got to keep him alive. And then the other team was like the weird team that was like, I am from the future. And I what? So I needed to know. I was like, I can't let anyone. I need to know all their stories.
You're making me want to go back to this game. I never finished it.
Yeah, it's I just want to know why it's so weird, but it's super anime and super silly. And yeah, if you want to play a game where I've seen clips online, because I was very curious of like how people die. It's super violent. There's no like, and then it fades to black. It's like, whoa, all right. So if you want to see animals be murderated, this is the game for you.
I'm not sure that's a word, but okay, I'll take it.
Yep.
Oh god. Anything else?
Oh,
Sorry?
I was just gonna say. Side note: since Danganronpa is made by the same devs, those games are on PC now.
Yes.
You can
they
get
are.
those games on Steam. So.
Yeah. Anything else
And they're
anyone else
also-
has been playing this week?
Just the usual Hearthstone, you know,
Yeah.
Being wrecked by the warrior meta right now. Oh,
I'm very
it's
glad I don't play the ladder anymore because of things like the meta. I think, all I do these days is I play the weekly Tavern Brawl, and that's kind of it for me with Hearthstone now. Like, I'm kind of played out on that game until the next expansion anyway.
I play it very just 1 or 2 games a day, so I don't overdo it. But then I always fall into a situation where my deck is way behind the times, and I'm like, I'm getting destroyed by everyone now, and then I have to craft a new deck that somehow kicks ass. But yeah, right now the warrior meta is just ridiculous. Everyone who beats me is a warrior. I'm like, cool.
What are they using that? Because like I said, I haven't laddered in ages, so I don't even know what the warrior meta is. What's the main?
Well, it's very armor heavy.
Oh god, those decks.
Yeah, the daily that's do 100 damage to an enemy hero. So I got that. Then I joined in a game, played a warrior, lost, but did 73 damage to him.
Fucking hell!
And the game was just cool. They just
so they just
armor.
Is it like a fatigue warrior? They just build a ton of armor and just wait for your deck to run out.
I mean, that can happen sometimes, but oddly enough, it's a combo warrior too. So you'll be like, I got 20 health, I'm fine, and then he's just bam, 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 you're dead in 1 turn. You're like, okay, cool. It's just warrior right now is very good.
Ah, screw that.
And it pisses me off because I don't like playing warrior. Otherwise, I just make the cheap warrior meta deck and just have at it. I'll play a Murloc deck, try and get back at them.
That's right. That's right. Only Murloc.
No, it's terrible. It just counters the shit out of it. And you're like, oh god, no.
Yeah, you're just battering the crap out, and it's I've got more armor than God. You can't stop me. It's oh god, you're the worst.
Yeah, Zudex. Am I right?
Thanks, Dodger. Great contribution. I mean, you
Dodger
play a lot of Hearthstone, I know.
2013.
Dodger is a secret legendary player.
Those Zudex, though.
Those Zudex, huh?
It's all right. I still keep my old handlock deck that I've from the beginning was my one deck that wrecked everybody. Yeah. It's terrible now, but I just keep it around because I'm
nostalgic so for when it was good.
Yeah, maybe it'll be good again one day.
Maybe Miracle Rogue will make that comeback.
I can't play Rogue or Warrior. Just
Yeah.
I need spells, man.
I wonder what Tavern Brawl is tomorrow. Hopefully a good one. I don't like it when they do repeats. Let's have something fun. That'll be nice. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, things are going to get...
People in chat are talking about Zudex now. I helped.
Congratulations. Now you brought self-loathing to the chat. Oh, fucking Zoo, I hate this game. What the shit? All right, when we come back after the break, things are going to get interesting, spicy. We're going to talk about CSGO gambling. Some of the people that have been involved in it, and a lot of the really shady shit that's been going on Twitch and YouTube lately. So get ready for that. We're going to be going back to that after the break. You're watching the Co-Optional Podcast. Do not go anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Co-Optional Podcast. This is what I like to call the Burning Bridges section of the show. So... I don't really like using the show for that purpose, but when the biggest piece of news this week kind of makes that somewhat unavoidable, I don't think we really have much of a choice on this because it is a serious topic. It's not going to just go away, and I think there's not only discussion to be had about the current scandal that's going on, but also the wider implications of this notion of gambling being involved in video games as much as it is. So I think
we've even talked about that in a lighter sense before.
Totally, yeah.
Just CSGO, lottery, gambling stuff in the past, and being this seems kind of sketchball that this exists and that minors can use it, and that maybe it shouldn't be around and should be looked at more closely, maybe. And now here we are.
Shit is now getting real, So let's set the scene for people that, don't know really what's going on. So, there was a game called Counter-Strike Go, and you probably played it, or know about it, because it's fucking popular, incredibly popular. Valve game, millions and millions and millions of players. Now, this game has a drop system, whereby the game will occasionally give you a crate. Now, this crate can be unlocked by buying a key, which is a little micropayment of about, I think it's $2.50, if I recall correctly, for a key in CSGO. None of us, I don't think any of us really unbox crates very often, do we? Yeah, I think it's $250. It certainly used to be. I think that's what Dodo crates cost, so, I assume it's kind of similar to that. And once you open this, you're going to get a weapon skin of some sort. And there are a variety of different variants of weapon skins. There are different quality levels of weapon skin. Hell, you can sometimes get the same weapon skin as someone else, but your weapon skin's a bit shittier than theirs, because it's like battle damaged or whatever. It's insane, like the amount of detail that goes into it, and there's some incredible looking stuff there. And this skin applies to your weapon. It's shown on your weapon. You can see it all the time, and anytime anyone gets killed by it, they get shown exactly what weapon they were killed by. So it's a bit of like, it's a show off thing, you know. It's bling. That's what it is. It's bling. Mm-hmm. And that sounds pretty harmless, you know, a good way to monetize the game, because let's be honest, skins they don't affect the game in any way. You know, other than them looking really cool. They don't make you gun better or anything along those lines. Learn that, payday devs. Skins don't make guns better. Quit it. You
Nonsense.
Idiots.
But how are we supposed to get them to pay for guns unless they make it easier to win?
Simple. Create a massive gambling economy surrounding the guns.
Oh my gosh, brilliant.
Indeed.
Nothing could go wrong with that.
So here's the thing. You can also trade these skins on the Steam Community Marketplace, and you can sell them to other players, along like a lot of things. You know, Steam trading cards can be sold, and you can also sell, you know, certain in-game items in certain games that support it. And Dota supports it, Team Fortress now supports it, and actually has supported it for a while, I think, and Counter-Strike supports it. And what happens is you can sell it, and it gives you Steam Wallet credit. And you can spend that on either other items or video games. Now, some of these games, well, some of the skins in particular, they can sell for a lot of money. You know, that stuff can be pretty rare. There is a massive economy for it. Here's where things get sketch. So what you can do is you can gamble these skins on third-party websites. So you can put a skin of yours of a certain value up, and you can potentially win more skins. The thing is that, of course, all of these skins have an inherent value because they can be sold on the Steam Marketplace. However, they can also be sold on third-party sites which allow you to cash those skins out for real money. Now, that is not endorsed by Valve, but it is not prevented by Valve either.
Some of these sites Valve lets you connect your account to.
Yeah, and you actually kind of have to do that. So Valve provides what's called an API, which allows external websites to connect to some of their tools. So it allows you to transfer items around and things like that. Of course, they say you can't sell these items for real money, but it happens. And the thing is that even if it didn't, these items have real value in terms of some of these skins are... I mean, for God's sake, there's skins worth thousands of dollars. You could buy a ton of games with that, or indeed you could cash it out. There's nothing stopping you from selling it to a private buyer for a bunch of real money, and they just PayPal you the money or whatever. And the thing is that a bunch of sites have now sprung up around this, which allow you to gamble with these skins, which in itself sounds like a little bit of fun. A few years ago, I gambled my rares on the International and lost them all, and fuck the team responsible for that. You know? But, you know, and at the time, that felt like a little bit of fun, because it's like, all right, you know, it's an in-game item, whatever, you know, I could maybe win another pointless in-game item. That sounds cool. But since then, the economy surrounding these games has blown up in a huge way, and the number of gambling sites and the number of sites that let you cash out and stuff like that has grown exponentially. And not to mention the fact that unboxing and gambling has actually become a very popular thing to watch on YouTube and Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
Huge streams that do nothing but sit there not playing Counter-Strike, just opening crates. That's all they fucking do. Or gambling the items that they win in those crates for other things. You know, if this is starting to sound a little bit sketch to you, it's because, well, it kind of is, because regular gambling is very regulated in a lot of different countries, especially in the United States. Very regulated. And, of course, if you're under the age of 18, you can't fucking do it. However, there's nothing stopping you from gambling your rares, gambling your skins, if you happen to be fucking 10 years old and have acquired stuff in Counter-Strike on these sites. And these skins have real value.
Mm.
Now, the scandal that broke this week was that, I believe it's two YouTubers and I think a big streamer, were revealed as the co-owners of a gambling site for CSGO that they have created videos on and gambled on, both on live streams and on YouTube. And needless to say, in these videos, they're winning big, they're very excited, and so on and so forth, and they're promoting these sites. Except, as it turns out, they fucking own it. They own the website. It's the equivalent of owning a casino and then gambling in your own casino.
Which is highly illegal.
Highly illegal. And the reason for that, of course, is that if you have any possibility of influencing the result, then you're not allowed to gamble there. For obvious fucking reasons, because you can cheat the system. Turns out, of course, they owned the site, and they've been promoting this to an audience which is primarily teenagers, and encouraging people to use this site. And of course, it's totally not illegal, dudes, because it's not real money, right? You can totally do it as a kid. Come on.
Though.
Come and gamble. Come and gamble.
It's gotten to the point now with this economy where there are like $20,000 pots for some of these skins.
Yes.
Like this is real gambling at this point. This isn't just I'm gonna put my rare blue eyes white dragon up there.
Yeah, sorry, can you repeat that number for me? The level cap didn't quite get that. How much is that?
2.3 billion a year in Counter-Strike skin trading. Like,
yeah.
What is that? What economy is that? That's a gambling economy, is what that is.
Yeah, at that point, this is not some little thing. This is not some little underground thing. This is big business. The people responsible were revealed in a video by H3H3 Productions where he took information from... Damn, I can't remember the original guy's name that revealed this, and I feel actually terrible. Oh, yes, Honor the Call was the guy that made the original videos, and H3H3, who is a big channel that he does...
helped blow up the information.
Yeah, he does some sketch comedy, but he also does some videos where he'll, call out, say, fake pranksters and people like that, or people that have done really, really shitty videos and all that sort of thing. And he decided to take information from Honor the Call, and he made a big video about it. And the big piece of proof involved in that was they found the articles of incorporation of this company called CS Lotto, and guess, of course, whose names were on the articles of incorporation. Indeed, it was T. Martin, Pro Syndicate, and Josh OG.
And for those of you who don't know, like, that's the paperwork that creates the business.
Yes.
Like that's the paperwork that you put all of your information on to be like, I would like to create this business right now. So later on, when they had claimed like, well, we weren't involved with it at the beginning, like now, yes, we're part owners.
That's bullshit.
There's proof that that's not true.
They initially claimed that, we made the videos before we got involved with the company. This is bullshit, because the articles of incorporation clearly state their names and they have the date of incorporation of the company. So they were involved from the start. So not only did they do something which is highly illegal, by the way, which is not disclosing their involvement, their financial conflict of interest, but they also then went and lied about it before they were then called out. And I'm not the sort of person that generally calls out other YouTubers, but I gotta be honest, I'm pretty fucking furious because these people make us all look bad by behaving this way. You know, that it's horribly exploitative, and even if it's not technically illegal to promote these gambling sites to kids, because it's technically, like, right now in the law, not real gambling, it's definitely illegal to do what is basically a sponsored deal, and one, not disclose that it's a sponsored deal, which they didn't really do, and two, not disclose the fact that you own the fucking company in the first place. A ton of lies, ton of bullshit, and what a lot of people would say is very unethical and very immoral, the idea of making a ton of money by promoting gambling to kids. That's one of the many facets of it. Many facets. And
what is the website? You have to be 13 years or older to play, which isn't going to stop someone from 10 probably from getting on there. But
exactly. it's not
like
regulated.
A 13-year-old has to enter their identification. It's like, show me your 13-year-old driver's license. Is like,
they don't check it. Of course they didn't check it. I mean, the idea that it's say, you got to be 13 to gamble. I'm sorry, but what?
Yeah, it's basically a checkbox that says, "Are you 13 or older?" Yes. Okay.
13.
Cool. Good to go.
I mean, that's insane, you know, and of course they say, well, it's not real money. It fucking is at this point. You know, it's a proxy for real money. It reminds me of the way pachinko rules in Japan work. You're not winning money, you're winning a toy that you then go next door and trade in for money. You know, it is, skins are a unit of currency. They have a market value at this point. And as a result, as far as I'm concerned, it should be considered real gambling. There's also another person who is it's kind of separate to all of this, who recently just admitted that they had actually faked 2 of their gambling videos. They had been paid by another site to fake these gambling videos. The whole thing was rigged for them to win, to encourage people to gamble. And in return, he was given extremely valuable skins that were worth quite a lot of money. Now, he came out and admitted this. His name is Psy Syndicate. I don't think admission really means anything at this point. I think he jumped before he was pushed. I have a feeling we're going to see a lot more YouTubers get rumbled in the next few weeks.
He also in the video is like, I'm like pretty awesome for admitting this, don't you think?
He's a fuckwit, is what he is.
We laugh. I'm like, dude, that doesn't make you a hero in this situation.
No!
You all made the video.
Hey, you know what you just call disclosure? Disclosure is not a good thing. It's not a good deed. It's called what you have to do to not break the law. It's the base standard of what you should be doing if you have any form of sponsorship at all, is not fucking lie that it's a sponsorship, not fucking lie that it's an ad. You are legally required in the United States to disclose any sponsored content in a way that is, quote, unavoidable. As in, nobody could mistake it for anything else. So, you've got to do things like put a logo. LevelCap, I think you've done, have you done some stuff with Ronku before, I believe?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, Ronku has a rule where you have to display a thing that says sponsored by EA Ronku on the video.
At the very beginning, a huge logo.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. And the reason they do that is because they know that you have to do that in order to comply with the law. And here's the thing. I think the majority of you... That's Psy Syndicate in the background right there protesting his innocence, by the way. I think that the vast majority of YouTubers, they do that, and they comply with that because, 1, it's the fucking law, you have to, and 2, they don't actually want to deceive their audience. They want to be straight up with their audience about everything.
And now most companies, just as a great example, Krendor and I did a thing with WildStar. Every video we sent them, they were like, can you add this and change this and like make this FTC, like everything
more
about
clear.
It. We had at the beginning a VO that I did that said this is a paid thing, a thing on the screen that says this is a paid thing. And they were like, can you just put one at the end too, just in case? I was like, all right, if that's what you effing want. So yeah, I mean, it's, like even
something that I think about though is that like the FTC it's a US based regulation company. So you got Syndicate. I don't know if he is based in the US or he's based in the UK.
He has a house in the UK, but he lives in the US. I know that. By the way, there's 2 syndicates involved in this, just to make this even more complicated. Pro Syndicate and Psy Syndicate. Jesus Christ.
But so the FTC regulations don't. It's really confusing because they're getting paid through YouTube, which is a US-based company, but they're located in other countries around the world. So you've got a lot of YouTubers that don't necessarily have to follow or abide by the FTC regulations. And then you got American YouTubers that do. And so things get confusing when one person doesn't have to disclose or maybe doesn't have to disclose. We don't really know because it's so confusing legally.
Well, as it turns out, I mean, for this, I do know because the UK has something called the Advertising Standards Authority, which is very similar to the FTC. And yes, you absolutely do in the UK. I can tell you that for a fact. Okay. I don't know about other countries, but I can tell you that in the US and the UK, you absolutely must disclose any sponsored deal or advertisement in a way that is unavoidable to the audience. Yeah. That's the law.
It's weird because I thought that because YouTube was a America-based company that everybody had to follow the FTC regulations of America with their videos.
Yeah, you have to. It's a YouTube rule. It's YouTube policy now. You have to do that.
I think it is, yeah.
There is no gray area. YouTube literally says, like, if you go look up their stuff, they're like, yo, if you're an ad, you need to say you're an ad. Like,
I mean, I definitely know those were in the guidance. I was looking up there earlier that's definitely in the terms of service. As to whether or not, I think the difference between that is like terms of service and actual legal requirements. You know, it's those are the sort of two different things. And again, not a lawyer. Don't really know, but I'll tell you who is a lawyer. Followed by the name of his username online is Video Game Attorney. He's been involved in a lot of fairly high-profile things. His real name's Ryan Morrison. He took to Twitter to say absolutely 110% the stuff that they did was illegal as fuck, like without a shadow of a doubt. Like, you go to his Twitter feed and you can see that across the board. He tells you what is illegal, why it's illegal. Here's a quote from him. Answers to all, yes. What the CSGO YouTubers did is illegal. Yes, they are reported. Like, he's actually reported them to the FTC for this. This is going to get fucking
Somebody
serious.
was going to.
Yeah, oh, totally.
Like that. Like,
and Barrett, you know what fucking gets me is this is not the first time that Pro Syndicate has been in trouble with the FTC. So there was a little thing, Xbox XB1 M13, something I reported on years ago. So this was a machinima promotion whereby people were being paid to say nice things about Xbox One games. And the only disclosure they ever offered was a hashtag, and that hashtag was there to allow Microsoft to track the effectiveness of the campaign. Most of them did not disclose to the audience that they were being paid for this. And as a result, the FTC actually fined Machinima and also sanctioned Machinima for this. And that also involved Pro Syndicate. And he is certainly by no means he's not the only person to pull this shit. Lots of people pull this shit. It happens way
all
more
the time. Still to this day, it
than
happens
you would like. It does. It absolutely does. So there's a lot of different facets to this. And, you know, one of this obviously being the illegality of the whole thing, the lack of disclosure. The second thing being the whole notion of promoting gambling to kids. And then, of course, the wider thing, which is, well, should CSGO gambling be allowed at all? If so, how should it be regulated? And also, the rise of gambling-like mechanics in quite a lot of video games over the last few years. I think it's a pretty interesting discussion topic, and I'd like to hear sort of everyone's go around the room and hear sort of everyone's general opinion on the idea of CS:GO gambling. You know, bearing in mind we are all over the legal age where we can absolutely gamble. I'd like to know just what you think about it in general before we get a little bit more in depth on it. LevelCap, like, have you? You played a bit of CS:GO. You're not a huge CS:GO player, are you?
No, I grew out of my CSGO days back in like the 90s pretty much, you know. It's like, all right,
with CS 1.6 and things, yeah.
I never really got on board back with the resurgence, but that just the rise of digital items and sort of digital transactions has led to all these weird legal loopholes that our insanely slow government is like trying to catch up and like, is that illegal? Yeah, it's illegal to any out there. It's like, this is what's happening. It's pretty freaking basic. You're gambling and turning it into money. It's obviously illegal, but it's going to like take years to get like legislation passed to stop it. So we have all these businesses forming up around it. And that's just the nature of scummy business. You know, they're going to exploit a market if it exists to exploit. And unfortunately, we got like these kids, these YouTubers who are kind of like, I think of them as like kids leading adult lives, you know, because they got so successful at such a young age.
I agree.
A lot of them weren't wealthy to begin with.
I wish I had like a preach emote. I've been saying that for years. Like, it's young individuals making a ton of money and living lives that are Bieber-esque. Bieber-esque lives.
But the problem is that Bieber at least has like an entourage of like lawyers and like PR people and people that are trying to keep him from doing too much stupid stuff.
No, you saw what happened to him. He effed up his life so much that eventually he realized, holy shit, I've been acting like an idiot, a complete idiot. And now people are like, hey, he's starting to calm down a little bit and isn't such an asshole. Yeah.
But it probably took a team of people like, you know,
to stop him and pull him aside and be like, hey, dick,
But YouTubers, you know, it's like one guy and like an editor or something. He's like, I'm making millions, you know, how can we make even more? Oh, I'll just do this, you know, and it's sort of like It's the mentality I'm very familiar with it, of like growing up feeling like you've been shafted or something, like, oh, I can make money. People have been making money off of me by exploiting my hard work and whatever. I'm going to do it now to other people. And it's just like, it's this thing that YouTubers are not going to self-regulate. Like it sucks. Like it's nice that we're making videos like this or streaming about it and talking, trying to keep people in line. But as long as there's a way to make an easy buck off of somebody else's, addictive tendencies, then it's going to happen. This is hardcore gambling, like at its worst, and it's marketed not towards adults, who are just like, it doesn't make it better if it's marketed towards adults, but it's like towards kids that are like susceptible to these tendencies. It's just, I remember growing up playing a lot of games that had sort of these elements, and you could even look at, like, I don't know, Diablo 2 crafting. I spent so much time crafting weapons in there because you could then trade them or try and sell them to people because they became worth a lot. And I spent hours and hours and hours, and just thinking about how much time I spent doing these things that are kind of addictive gambling like nature to them. And now that there's actual money involved, and you're saying, hey, there's like a 13-year-old that can, if he wins a cool skin in Counter-Strike, he can pop that onto a gambling site. Oh, he just won like $500, and now you've got like a lifelong gambling addiction starting off at the ripe old age of 13.
Yeah, I think it's the difference between having a gambling like element in the game and being able to cash out, because at that point it becomes real.
Yeah.
If you put let's say, because I remember playing like older games where they might have a slot machine in the game, and that was kind of cute. I remember playing God Hand where you could go to the casino and gamble to get a little bit more in-game money and stuff, and that can be a fun little gameplay mechanic. This is not that. This is meta in and of itself, because the acquisition of these in-game items actually has nothing to do with your performance in-game at all. Not at all. They're just crate boxes. You can actually go on the market and just buy a bunch of unopened crates. You're not even playing the game at this point. So this barely has anything to do with CSGO as a video game. It's a completely separate thing that has taken off, and at that point, you've got to say to yourself, well, this is no longer harmless fun. This is no longer just a cool integration into the game. This is just straight up gambling. Mm-hmm. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And at that point, you've got to say, well, gambling is serious. Gambling can be very destructive. Gambling should be regulated. And, of course, there should be absolutely an age restriction on it that's heavily enforced.
Can I ask, how is... obviously, it's illegal in California, and I'm not sure what other states, but how is online poker regulated?
Heavily now. Before it wasn't. Before,
I know, but like, how do they regulate it now? Do we know?
Sue the sites out of existence. Basically, the government goes after the sites and shuts them down for the most part.
Just like sports betting and all those different like weekly fantasy sites, they just shut. Like New York shut those down. Like they.
DraftKings and stuff. Yeah, they're starting to get hit as well. Like what's interesting, especially in America, who is very restrictive in regards to gambling. Europe, less so, by the way. I grew up in the UK. Bookmakers, you can make a bet on any corner shop, no problem. You can go to a little sort of mini casino, but they just call them amusements in the UK. That just has slot machines, and every pub has like 1 or 2 slot machines in it. That's very common.
Most of our bars do too. At least
not in this state, they don't. I'll tell you that for a fact. They're not allowed.
They do in Oregon. I'm trying to think of
it's on a state-by-state basis, isn't it, in the US? Like, the certain form, like, but you can't, like, betting is very restricted in this country, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's different kinds of gambling. Weirdly enough, like, lotteries were illegal in the UK until a certain point. And then they made the national lottery, which, is like, all right, well, the government's going to regulate it, and we're going to give a certain portion to charity and shit. But obviously, all different companies have different rules. The thing is that online, of course, it's much more difficult to police. You can set up a company in another country and run it by proxy. It can be difficult to track down. And there are different ways to sort of get around the rules. The current situation is similar to the way that online poker was, that it wasn't regulated for a while, and now it is. This is the new thing that slips through the loopholes and says, oh, well, it's not technically money, so it doesn't qualify, right? And eventually the government's going to turn around and say, well, actually it does, and maybe we need to change the law to make sure that it does, and all that sort of thing. But it's fucking gambling. Like, there's no getting around it.
You got to wonder if, just because our legal system is so slow, YouTube has been taking like further measures with the whole FTC stuff and just what kind of content is allowed on YouTube. It'd be interesting to see if they take a measure to try and self-regulate stuff that they allow on
They
there.
may.
They don't want to be sued. That's why they do the things they do now, where it's like, oh yeah, no, you can copyright claim like crazy because we don't want to deal with it. Like they just don't want the problem. So I imagine they'll step up and do something if it becomes an issue.
They might. Yeah, they definitely they're not beyond that, certainly, if they realize that this is a problem. And the weird thing is that these YouTube channels that are doing all of this gambling stuff can often be affiliated with these sites, and there are plenty of instances. We've already found, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, there was somebody called Mo, I think, and it was revealed that a gambling site was basically giving him stuff to gamble with on stream.
Right.
Because
Which
what
I think
they'll
is
do,
a common way to do it, for them to just give you skins or give you money to start with.
yeah, well, I mean, in his case, they gave him a ton of money just for him to play with. Like he didn't risk anything. He was given a bunch of shit by the site and then streamed it. But of course, the people that were attracted to the site through the stream, they don't get that benefit. It looks to them like it's like, this is great. I could win a ton. I could get lucky because the streamer has made it out to be that it's awesome and that it's a great deal and that they're going to win. But in reality, the streamer never risked anything.
That is I feel like this is going into a darker territory, but for the most part, from what I know, the vast majority of ads on the internet are the idea of we, company X, will give streamer YouTuber Y product Z to show to everyone, and it's all free. And then the person's like, check out this new thing I just got. And there are certain people that's all they do. Like, that is their channel. Like, today I just got this awesome thing that came in the mail. It's so cool.
Don't get me started on unboxing channels and shit like that.
It's
Jesus.
Unboxings and product previews and, like, check out this new keyboard. And then, next day I got this other new like, there's a lot of things. As long as you're just like, all of what you're seeing is an ad, one would assume it's acceptable, but the minute you get to that like gray area of gambling where it's like the things you're getting, the illusion is that you got it through the gambling process, not like it's that's the lie. It isn't that they gave you the free stuff. It's that like the illusion that you presented as the YouTuber, like, hey, I totally am doing an ad for these guys, but look what I got at a random chance. How crazy is that?
You too can manage this,
Right.
It's like their behavior isn't representative. And I think in the case of Mo, I believe it was revealed that the site, which was like CSGO Diamonds or something, was revealing results of rolls to him before they happened. And the one of the big problems with these other YouTubers, Pro Syndicate and Josh, etc., owning this CS Lotto site is that they could have access to that information. So they can quite literally be rigging the system, which is super fucking illegal, by the way. Really, really, really illegal stuff. But then they're taking that and then they're showing it to their audience, and their audience, a lot of teenagers, a lot of kids are seeing that and thinking how awesome this is.
It's a huge audience too. These aren't just like up and coming YouTubers trying to carve out their niche in the world. Like people who have already made it. They're good to go financially. It's not like they need this extra bit of money coming in from CSGO gambling,
They were very good to go. They make millions at least Pro Syndicate in particular makes millions a year.
Well,
I can say that for a fact.
Syndicate, just having seen this channel grow, I feel like this was his, like, I don't think he likes YouTube anymore. Having seen what he was a gamer who then stopped to make, like, here's my life and I'm living an awesome life videos, like inspirational life videos. I feel like he's just like, this was his next how do I stop making videos thing. Like, I feel like that's his goal, is to just stop. And it when all of your goal is to make as much money as possible to then I see that a lot. Yeah, I see that a lot in YouTube, where this isn't a career, this is my get rich quick scheme, and the faster I get rich, the sooner I can stop doing this. And those people and we don't really gel together, But
No, I don't get along with
to
people
each
like that.
their own. But yeah, those
To each
also-
their own until you start deceiving your audience and breaking the law. Can I add that caveat there? Because I'm not going to go you do you when you're a lying, cheating scumbag that breaks the law and manipulates children into gambling. At that point is where I draw the line of saying you do fucking you.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's just you constantly see it on YouTube, and the people who do it are very like. There's a lot of people who are trying to deceive you. Spoiler, there's a lot of people out there, not only in life but also on your favorite entertainment platform, trying to con you into doing stuff so they can make a ton of money on the side. That's just the way it works, and it sucks. It shouldn't be that way, but that's how it is.
But it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to. No, it is.
Because
it's going to take regulation. It's going to take
someone's going to get fucking
hard
sued.
crackdown. Yeah.
I mean, as it stands, what I'm interested in knowing from you guys is how much do you think Valve is responsible for this? Because there's currently a class action lawsuit going on against Valve, which alleges that Valve is providing the means and the tools to allow this illegal gambling to happen. Valve is, of course, claiming that it's not their responsibility. You can't do the gambling on their site or on their service. It's happening outside of their service and that they can't control that. To what extent do you think Valve are responsible? Because, you got to bear in mind that, when you open a crate, you even get a fucking slot reel as you're doing it. Like, it's very much simulated gambling. That's what Valve is providing, this kind of simulated gambling. But how responsible are they for the real stuff? I
think they're very responsible. I mean, even if you look at like the recent Blizzard games, how they've stopped sort of trading and stuff like that. You can't trade in Hearthstone. You can't trade your cool skins in Overwatch. They've sort of been like, all right, this was like with World of Warcraft has created gold farming and stuff in China. They've created all these industries they're probably not proud of. And they're like, how can we avoid that with future games? How can we put an end to this?
That's a good point.
Valve is just sort of taking the approach of like, it's not our problem, but the problem is that they're creating a platform that facilitates this kind of stuff, and that is almost impossible to regulate if these websites are in other countries and stuff. And it's a digital commodity, and that's the biggest problem, is that we've got, to get a digital commodity or to get a real commodity somewhere else, you got to smuggle it. You have import taxes. You have all this other shit that prevents people from exploiting the crap out of an industry. But as soon as that commodity goes digital, like, you run into a whole other slew of problems. And so Valve is providing people with an easy means to do this. It is a very much part of their responsibility to go in there and try and break down the API or whatever they have.
Do something
it's allowing
about it.
people to like take these skins outside of it. And you could make the same analogy with the key reselling websites. They're like, we're not stealing keys. We're not.
Yeah,
doing all
we're
this
just
stuff.
providing a great platform to
Just
sell a bunch of
providing
stolen
an
goods.
unregulated platform that allows anybody around the world with no legal repercussions to do so.
Yeah, and as you said, the API allows you to sync up with these sites, and they have not, as of yet, made an effort to stop that. And I think you could even go further than that and say, just it's a term called artificial scarcity, which describes the idea of rarity of digital items, which is directly controlled by the people that make them. So there are various tiers,
basically.
Yeah, I mean, there's hundreds. I won't say hundreds of different tiers, but there's a lot of variances of rarity in Counter-Strike. I don't play the game very much, so I don't know much about that. But I know there's like factory new is an aspect, and there's various like this is a rare item, this is like a purple epic item or whatever. It's like factory new. There's battle damaged ones. There's hell, values are even determined by the randomly generated pattern. I heard on certain items. There are certain ones which are very desirable because the pattern that it generated came in a certain way, and that became super fucking rare, and as a result, the value goes up there. Do you think that Valve even has a responsibility for driving the prices of these items up by creating this artificial scarcity?
I mean, it's weird. It's like it's an economy that they've created. They're kind of like the banking system or something. I mean, they can create money if they want to, in a sense. I think it would be awesome if Valve just gave everybody like a high-level skin, a high-tier skin, and just killed
tank the economy completely.
Just kill it all. Just like
here's the
everybody
problem:
gets all
they
the
have
skin.
a real reason
Shut
to want to
down
keep
all
that
the
economy
sites.
going. Because
I know.
that economy drives a lot of Steam purchases, and I believe they do take. Do they take a percentage?
Yeah.
They've got it right.
Well, I mean, every time a Steam crate is bought, right, they get money off of it.
Of course, yeah,
I
there's
feel-
definitely that. But I think isn't there a transaction fee of some sort as well on trading?
I'm not sure.
I don't
as
do
far
trading
as
very much. I'm going to be honest.
transactions.
I'm gonna plead ignorance on this
I
one.
feel like this might be a stretch too far, and that like gaming companies have done stuff like this forever to create false like scarcity and stuff. I think that's a prerogative of a company to do, to be like, this is how we sell our 12 jillion amiibos to people. Like Nintendo is a champion of doing that. But I think that it's not to say that they don't have some blame though. It's like if this was a robbery, Valve and these websites would be in the getaway car. Like they definitely are associated with what's going on. They're
complicit in some way.
Yeah, they're not to blame here. But to say like this is all Valve, like Valve facilitated what happened. They were a part of it, but they aren't like, they're just doing what a company does, which is like, hey, how can we, get people to spend money on our game? How can we get people to keep playing our game, to find little things in the game? Like, I'm just going to, keep opening boxes. Like, that's something a developer should be like doing if they're a smart developer.
Absolutely. And we've also talked on this show multiple times about like there's nothing wrong with customizable or like items that
microtransactions for skins and stuff.
Right.
Skins. Yeah, we've constantly been like that's the right way to go. And if they want to add more and more and more of that stuff, it doesn't hurt the game, it doesn't hurt the way that you play the game, right? But the problem is that this game is now existing outside of it, right?
It's
like
trading.
This part of the game
Once you add
doesn't
trading to the element. It's like, oh, I just got this awesome skin, which in Overwatch or Hearthstone is like, cool. Now I'm
going to show it off.
I can just use that for myself.
I'm going to sell it.
Yeah, I don't have like $50 more because I got that skin. But as soon as you add trading to the element, which is a huge portion of all their games now, you've created an economy that's almost impossible to regulate, as we've seen with previous games that have allowed trading and all that kind of stuff. And it's probably why companies like Blizzard shy away from it. And other companies that gravitate towards it are the ones that just want the like kind of scummy like popularity that with it.
Well, I mean, it feels to me like they created a monster,
yeah.
And their attitude is let it do, wash their hands of it because they are benefiting from it, and there is a transaction fee, incidentally, as chat pointed out. They are benefiting from it and people are buying crates and Valve are making a ton of money off the back of it, even if they're not actually directly involved in the gambling process. They have created a monster, and they've also created a monster which is now starting to facilitate money laundering. And that ain't fucking good. It's at that point that governments start to say, hang on a minute, I think you've got something to do with this. Your system is allowing this to happen, and that's not okay.
Yeah, purely from a business standpoint, it's like, yeah, keep doing what you're doing. It's working great for you. And that's the problem, is that you have to regulate it with the government or something. You have to take big business and be like, hey, that's not okay to do. Because otherwise they're just going to be like, oh, this is making more money. This is making more money. Keep going this direction, because that's the direction that businesses go, is generally speaking the direction that makes them money. So I wouldn't imagine they would stop on their own until the bad PR outweighs the amount that they're making off of these CSGO transactions.
You mean like right now?
Yeah, I'd say maybe that might be happening right now. Yeah.
In this exact instant?
Yeah. Jesse, you had something to say on this.
No, I like thinking about it fundamentally, being smart enough to realize that there is this system set up and that you can capitalize on it is very much like the American way-ish. It's a very capitalist system. Like, oh, there's this thing that I can do, and there's a system that's like, I get why people want to do that, but also it needs to be regulated to the point where the stuff that happened can't happen. Like, this is the reason why we're even talking about this is because some people did some really scummy stuff and flat out lied and then made a profit out of their lie. And so that's an inherent, I think that's the big problem here. And the gambling and all that stuff, I feel like that's a less of a problem for me, but it's the idea that all these people had a vested interest in a company that they set up, and then over the course of months, etc., just repeatedly lied to people in order to get them to use it.
Totally, yeah.
They use their it's Trump-esquian of them. I'm gonna go with the S all day. Where they're like, go to my college, it's the #1 college, and it's like a scam. All of it's a scam. And it's the same thing here, where it's just they flat out scammed people into using a service above all the other gambling services because they use their influence and their power to lure people in and lied to them. I think that's an even greater problem and conflict of interest than just the gambling itself. Like the gambling needs to be regulated without a doubt. But these guys took it to the next level and flat out just bullshitted their way to a ton of money. And that's not cool. That is not cool.
I don't think there's anyone here or even listening to this show that would disagree with you. I don't think it's even up for debate. You know, the people that have been defending, Pro Syndicate, Josh OG, and of course, Psy Syndicate, who again, I must point out, was not involved in that site. This was a different site. Again, he took a deal to fake results to lie to his audience. Anyone that is defending those people is a fucking fanboy moron. I mean, there's no other way around it. And this shows how dangerous it is to manipulate an audience of childish people, to manipulate a young audience, because they will defend a fucking criminal to the death. Like, I mean, this person, fucking Pro Syndicate could go kill a puppy live on stream, and someone would post a bunch of reasons as to why that doesn't make him a bad person. Like, because they are so fucking deluded into idolizing these people, into believing they can do no wrong, because they're such a part of their daily lives. And many of these people have deliberately made them think that. They meant think, you matter to me. You really matter to me. Hey, I don't want to use PewDiePie as an example because PewDiePie is actually on the up and up and has called Pro Syndicate out on this, and good for him. It's like, you're all my bros, we're all friends, we're all part of the same thing, it exploits vulnerable people, whether they
That's also why the vast majority of YouTubers who do this stuff, that's also why they do it, because the minute they're like, you and I are best friends and it's just us fighting against the world, that's when they're like, well, I can't tell them that I make a ton of money doing this. That would be like, oh my God, if I told them that this was an ad, they'd no longer trust me. And so there's a lot of
the trust was built on a lie in the first place.
Absolutely.
That trust is worth shit. The only reason you want that trust is because you want them to keep viewing your ads, buying your merchandise, and buying the products that you shill to them. At which point, I mean, you're just a fucking scumbag if you do that. There's no other way around it. All of these people that we've named, and way, way more besides, are all fucking scumbags. There's a reason they're covering their tracks. There's a reason they're preparing a statement, apparently, for tomorrow. There's a reason they're bullshitting, deleting these videos, and all sorts of things like that. And there's a reason, like, someone like Psy Syndicate jumped out quickly, because I think he knows that people are going to get rumbled in a big way over the next few weeks, and he wants to get out ahead of it to minimize the PR damage. Smart from him. He's still a fuckwit.
He did that for him. He didn't do that for you guys. He did that.
He did that for him. That doesn't make him a good person. It does not.
I told you.
He's a shithead.
I hate the tools that they have to cover their tracks, because you look at like T Martin's channel, he's turned off comments and rating on all his videos over the past several days.
He's deleted videos. He's changed descriptions.
Yeah, and he's added in the whole sponsored by stuff after,
which is hilarious because of course Wayback Machine shows that like the day before that he didn't have it. Like you can't lie like that on the internet.
Of the videos,
yeah. And then on top of that, it's like he could add in words to the filter, like don't allow comments to post with like anybody saying like
CSGO or gamble or
CSGO, lottery, gambling, whatever.
Yeah.
So like they have all these tools at their disposal to sort of make it like go away, like 1984 style. Like what history
down the memory hole?
About? Yeah. And the internet is so full of fickle children, unfortunately, that unless people take legal action and something more is done about this, give it a month, give it two, everything will be back to the way it was before, and they'll be fucking gambling CSGO skins.
The internet always forgets. It's fine.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I hope that in this case they don't. I hope there are lawsuits, because these people did illegal things. This is not me saying, this is not me being vindictive. These people did illegal shit. They deserve to be prosecuted for it. They deserve to be sued if it happens to be a civil matter, prosecuted if it happens to be a criminal matter. And, you know, they exploited kids for money. They lied to their audiences. And people that lie to their audiences for money, like, in my eyes, in this industry, there's nothing lower than that.
Yeah.
We're all privileged as fuck to be where we are right now.
And not to take the woe is me like angle here, but this article just posted to like BBC. Like finally, YouTube drama is like making it to the headlines around the world.
Yeah.
And you know, when somebody's like, "Oh, what do you do for a living?" and you're like, "Oh, I'm a YouTuber," you know, if the first thing they think of is like this shit on the BBC, like, "Oh, you're one of those scumbags." Okay. Yeah. It's like it just sucks. Right. It denigrates the rest of us, and some of us are actually trying to, you know, do things on the up and up. You know, decent people on YouTube.
Yep, that does piss me off. It does. I mean, particularly in my case. I mean, I've spent like 5 fucking years trying to convince basically all the PR companies and publishers that I should be like have the same access as people like IGN and GameSpot and shit, like get review copies at the same time and all that stuff. So whenever something like this goes down, it makes everybody look bad. It's like it pisses on what I've worked for to be taken seriously, you know. And the fact is, you know, our platform keeps getting shit on because of people that have no moral backbone and no moral compass and are just willing to fucking lie to people in order to make a quick buck. And that's disgusting. And the fact that these people are in our sort of very scene, that they're people who like are in our community, as it were, that makes me sick.
Well, it's the same thing as people who make a game and say that their game is like, oh yeah, I know you guys should check out this new game I just started playing. Or the same, like, everything this keeps happening in cycles, and then someone gets caught, and then the internet freaks out, and then no one cares anymore. No, like if the internet really gave a shit, there would be no more Keemstar. I'm just saying. I'm just saying, if the internet really gave a shit, but they don't. The internet, first off, loves drama, eats it,
loves it. It's true,
and they don't like the resolution of drama. They just like saying their 2 cents about the drama.
They want it to continue.
This is what I think about how you're wrong and immoral. And then the next day they're like, oh shit, new hashtag. What day is the day? Happy Bikini Day, everyone. It
is Bikini Day, by the way. Happy Bikini Day, everybody.
Happy Bikini Day to everybody.
Yeah.
I have some rare bikinis we can gamble for, if you don't mind.
Oh shit.
Just found this new bikini site. So amazing.
Go on. What's the link to that?
There's a lot of bikini sites on the internet. You don't need to look for. And it is sad, you know. And here's the thing that pisses me off, by the way. Calling this kind of drama. I mean, I know a lot of people like refer to it as drama. I don't think doing illegal shit is drama. I think that's illegal shit that should be, you know, prosecuted. That's not drama. You know, drama indicates that somebody got into a fight with someone else over Twitter. It's like, oh, this guy said this guy was not very nice, or that this guy's a poophead. That's drama. It's like, I illegally did this shit. Isn't drama. That's illegal.
But I would say from the perspective of the people who watch all of us interact about it, it's the same.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
You know, it's the same sort of like, ooh, YouTubers are fighting with each other. And ooh, I wonder who's going to take their side. And ooh, oh my gosh, I can't wait until the next article comes out with an update about it. Oh, delicious drama. I need all
the tabloid shit, isn't it? That's what it is.
Well, it gets turned into it because then, you know, the more and more people who jump on, like you mentioned at the beginning that some people made videos about this saying, like, even you were like, hey, this is my thoughts. Eventually, it's just going to keep snowballing to where everyone's involved, and people are like, "I don't give a shit about that anymore." And then
it's like, I'm bored of this.
Yeah,
that's the biggest problem. I've seen this on Reddit fucking all the time. It's like, oh, this shit again. It's like, no, you realize this thing hasn't resolved. Like, until it resolves, this needs to be dealt with repeatedly. It needs to keep being brought up. But it's like, I'm bored. I want to see something else. It's like, oh, this is entertainment for you. Oh, that's cute. Shitty.
Well, yeah,
I'm hoping that the escalation of this specific situation here is big enough so that some actual legal action gets taken this time around. Then everybody can read in the paper, hey, so-and-so got sued for this much, or they went to jail or whatever. And then everybody else is like, maybe I should think twice next time I decide to do something scummy on the internet.
Yeah.
I think that's the only good outcome that can come from all of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, well, I guess that's that. We've burned a few bridges with people, but I can only speak for myself on this. I have no interest in having a bridge to these people. I don't want to visit Pro Syndicate Town. It's full of fuckwits. So, I can just go visit someone else that's cool. Here's the thing, like, you know, in my experience, the majority of people that do this for a living on YouTube are grateful for the fact that they have their job and are on the up and up. They're honest people that don't want to lie to their audience. They just want to make cool shit, and they want to make money off making cool shit that you like, and there's nothing wrong with that. And then there are these, you know, this minority, which sadly often consists of people who got way too rich, way too fast, and lost any sort of moral compass, that do these shitty things and make us all look like assholes, and I hate that. I really do. I think it's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So quit
When
it.
your releases, TB?
I don't know. I'm too sad.
TB, you
now.
want to talk about releases?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Let's do some releases. It'll make you feel better. Let's do some releases. It'll make you feel a lot better. I promise.
It'll make you feel better.
Do I have the list?
They won't. Releases is usually terrible. All right. I didn't say the releases. Let me bring that up for you. Christian, what did you... Holy shit, that's a lot of fucking games. We should go through these.
What about Furi? I hear Furi came out today.
Yeah,
we talked
Furi,
about that.
That's the major one. Jesus Christ, there are actually so many fucking... Right, I'm going to just give you the next few days, because we will be here all fucking day, and also that Grand Pigeon's Duty is still fucking on this list.
No.
So... Fuck Grand Pigeon's Duty.
Have we read their description? Does it say like that? Remember that one time we read it? It was like, hey, co-optional podcast, don't worry, we're coming out soon. Have we read the maybe the description's like, sorry for trolling you assholes, but we're doing it again.
I refuse.
Hi, Co-optional Podcast. Maybe you fell for it last time, but this time it's for real.
Yeah, all right. I've sent you the release for the next couple of days. We're not going to go crazy, because this will take all fucking day if we do that.
Whoa, yeah, okay.
Yeah, a lot of shit, right? Yeah.
Yeah. July 5th, which is today, we have Killing Time at Lightspeed Enhanced Edition.
What is enhanced about it, I wonder?
The killing time, the Lightspeed.
It is a... I mean, this game actually interests me a little bit.
Yeah, one of those.
So this is a game, browse social media at the speed of light. Watch your friends grow old in the blink of an eye. Realize there's nothing you can do about it. Tell your friends you love them one last time. This isn't a fucking video game. This is a depression simulator.
That sounds very sad.
Yeah, it does. It's a piece of interactive fiction. That's depressing as shit. Next.
All right, next up is called Proton War.
That sounds fun. What's Proton War about? A war of protons, multiplayer focused. What is an AFPS? It's kind of like an action or arena FPS of some sort. It seems to have... It's playable in Steam VR, and the reviews are currently mostly negative. Well, oops.
Great.
Next.
Next up is called Energy Hook. From the inventor of the acclaimed web-swinging movement in Spider-Man 2 comes the extreme sport of the future. From death-defying stunts and insane parkour.
We forgot to talk about Japan's first VR porn fest, TB!
We ran out of time. You want to blame Pro Syndicate for something else? There. Blame him for that.
Never run out of time for the first VR porn fest!
That's his fault.
Jesse, guess what? You stream every day now. You can do a whole special segment all by yourself.
It's not the same.
It's not the same as hijacking my show with something like that.
I guess not. I guess it's not the same.
It's not the same as ruining co-optional. Next.
Next up is called Frost.
I'm actually going to probably look at this. It's a co-op solo card game where you're supposed to survive like a blizzard or some shit, and it's got deck building mechanics like Dominion, and all the art is like drawn in colored pencil, which I thought was kind of neat. So it's combining survival with card games, because who didn't want that one? Actually, I kind of do want that. Next.
Next is called Cavernous. I can't find it on Steam.
I've got it. It looks like it was made for the Atari 2600. It looks like a really crappy version of Spelunky, honestly. Twitch-based, real-time action, jump, hit, gamepad support. Great. Well, that's a feature list and a half, isn't it? Next.
Next is called Lost Sea.
I'm actually kind of interested in this one.
I like the look of it. It looks cool.
Yeah, I've got
After a freak storm over the Atlantic, you find yourself stranded on the shores of a mysterious island. Do you have what it takes to escape the Lost Sea?
Yeah, procedurally generated islands. You fight stuff, you craft stuff. It's kind of like a top-down Diablo-style perspective. Apparently, you recruit people, stranded people, to make your crew and shit, and buy ship upgrades. I mean, I'm into this. I actually have code for that. I'm going to check it out, hopefully.
Yeah, that looks super cute.
Yeah, it does look pretty cool. Next.
Next is called Battleships at Dawn.
Which I think literally is a mixture of the game Battleship with some other weird gamey mechanics.
That's actually what it is. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, it doesn't look brilliant, I've got to admit. Next.
Mantis Burn Racing.
It's a racing game, top-down, isometric. Kind of looks a little bit like Micro Machines by the looks of it.
Oh, wow, yeah. It looks like, that's some old school game right there.
It does, yeah. It reminds me of that. Or, of course, like Rock and Roll Racing by Blizzard.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Are there mantises in it? Why is it called Mantis?
I don't know why it's called Mantis Burn
Mantis
Racing.
Burn.
I guess they just thought Mantis is a cool word. Let's go with that. Yeah, there doesn't
Bugs.
seem to be any reason for that at all. Next.
The next game on the list is Fury, which we
Fury,
talked
of course,
about.
talked about. Great, yeah. Next.
After that, we have The Room 2.
Oh, The Room, yeah. These games were very, very popular on iOS, considered to be some of the best sort of hidden object / mystery games you can get on that platform. The PC version, they've really upped the graphical fidelity, so if you're looking for a mystery game, The Room series is really good. I know my wife really loves those.
Next is called Pirates Treasure Hunters.
It's a fucking MOBA with pirates in it for some reason.
Okay. Next is called Cricket Captain 2016. I bet it's about the game cricket.
Oh man, you are so insightful.
Thank you. I mean, the only other option is that you're like a captain of the guard, but you're also a cricket, and you're trying to get all the
shit, I'd play that game.
That'd be really
I would
weird.
too.
Next.
Next is called Smell of Death.
It's a horror VR FPS that looks like it was made in 2002. So, yeah, I don't know about that. Next.
All right. Next is The Temporal Invasion.
Which we've talked about.
Yes.
Next is Ancient VR Coaster.
Do you want to be a fantasy world that's also a roller coaster? Well, apparently
Yes.
it's a VR game that looks like it was made in 1998. Holy shit, that looks like Quake. Dear
Next
God.
up
Next.
is the Wire Loop Game VR.
Are you fucking kidding me? Is this VR fucking don't touch the sides carnival game? It
That's
fucking
absolutely
is.
what it is. Oh my God.
How much
VR
does it
is
cost?
dead.
How much
Next.
does it cost?
VR is dead.
$7 for that.
$7. Oh.
$7 whole dollars for that. Next.
Next is the Brookhaven Experiment.
$20 VR survival shooter for the Vive. Which, I mean, to be fair, it doesn't look terrible, but I have a feeling it probably will be. Next.
July 6th, tomorrow, we have Take Thy Throne.
That's a cool name for a game. Take down towers and barricades to make your way towards the enemy's king. It's got classes, use a variety of strategies, collect gold, buy different items. It looks like it's sort of a kind of side scroller. It almost gives you a bit of a Terraria vibe, but it seems like is it multiplayer? Yeah, it's sort of it's a multiplayer sort of side scrolling deathmatchy game by the looks of it.
All right. Next up is called Hero Zero.
It's a terrible name for a hero, really. Free to play game. Become the hero. Start by saving your neighbor. This is a mobile port, isn't it? You can totally tell by the screenshots. It absolutely is. You sort of make a custom superhero, which again sounds kind of cool. As to what you actually do, it doesn't fucking say. All of the screenshots give me no indication of what happens. So, yeah. But it definitely looks like a mobile port to me.
All right. Next is called Simple Spy. It looks kind of Meat Boy-esque.
Okay.
You're just like a little black stick figure who's going through buzzsaws and things.
Right.
He's a simple spy.
He's a simple
Quite
spy. He's a
simple.
very simple spy.
Next.
That's it.
After that, we have Metamorphic. This is the next game.
Procedural voxel physics-based first-person sort of Portal-esque thing. It's probably my best description of that. How you do procedural puzzle solving, I really don't know, but apparently that's a thing. Next.
Next is called Deep Space Dash. It looks like a racing game, like a future racing game. But the screenshots are super fuzzy, I guess, because of the speed.
It's a runner. Yeah, it's one of those sort of sci-fi runner things that have been very popular lately, where it's just like, you're moving really fast, dodge shit. That's
yeah,
it.
great. On July 7th, we have Inferno Climber. Brought to you by Inferno Cop from Studio Trigger. Watch it today. It's great.
Survival action RPG. Stones in Hell is literally part of the description. Right. Slashing.
Okay.
Magic casting. Arrow shooting. Eating.
Cooking.
Stones in Hell.
Video games.
Is that statement just on its own? Stones in hell.
It literally is a sentence.
Bones in Hell.
Sold.
40 hours of playtime. Resource management.
It's just it's because it's on the separate fucking line. It's like defeat powerful bosses to collect all the 5 purgatory stones in hell. But I just read stones in hell. I'm like, that's a feature. Stones in hell. Great. Next.
The next game looks like it could potentially be super cool. It's called Sound Stage, and it's a VR instrument game.
VR music box. Yeah, it's. I don't know if it's even a game per se. It looks like it's actually like a synthesizer that you can kind of control in VR with virtual drums and shit. That sounds really cool. I'd love to try that.
It does. It looks super cool.
Yeah.
After that, we have The Lion's Song, Episode 1.
The Lion's Song Episode 1 is looks like a point and click from what I can tell. Yeah, point and click with a sort of sepia graphic style. Next up is Bathory, the Bloody Countess, which is a hidden object game. Oh, yay. Next.
And then we have The Spatials, Galactology.
I think I've heard of this before. Because there was another Spatials game called just The Spatials. The Spatials are back. Design, build, and protect the space station from the many enemies that you will make exploring the universe. It's an early access game, but it actually looks pretty cool. It's like a strategy/management game. If it's anywhere close to as good as Startopia, I'm in. Next.
The next game is called Kaboom Monsters. It's a strategy card game, but I'm trying to figure out how it's played.
It looks like the cards have like 4 sides to them. It reminds me of Card City Nights. Where the cards have like 4 sides and you sort of match them up and all that sort of thing.
And you try to have the bigger number on as many
Something
sides
like
as possible, that sort of an idea.
I believe that's how it works, yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to be early access. That looks pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
Next up is Evolution Planet Gold Edition.
Evolution Planet. Why does that deserve a gold edition? What was the first one? Who fucking knows? It's a mobile port, and it seems to be a mobile puzzle game of sorts. Next.
Next is called 3. Inside.
Oh,
Inside is awesome.
Oh, it's finally coming to PC. It's actually been out on Xbox One for like a week. It's the new game for the guys that made Limbo. Very interested in that. Game will currently unlock in 1 day, 18 hours. They promised me early access code for that days ago. I never got it. Thanks, guys. Next.
Finally, we have D Tower Rush.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, but it's Tower Defense game.
That's clearly a mobile port. It's a mobile tower defense game that looks like a rip-off of Kingdom Rush. It even has the word Rush in the name. Lovely. Cool. There you go. A bunch of games, about 2 of them sound good. Let's be honest. That's currently how it is. Oh, and also there are about 12 pieces of Mega Dimension Neptunia 7 DLC that have just been released on the front page of Steam. Thanks for that. Also, RWBY, the RWBY game came out today.
Right.
Which is
the Ryubi game.
Yeah.
The Ryubi?
Which sounds like it might be quite good. Cool. All right, that pretty much wraps up the show. We have certainly overrun. You can blame Pro Syndicate and Josh OG and all these other people for that and everything else. Blame them for literally everything that never helped.
Porn.
And you can't. And that's now you hate them forever, right? Because they denied you that. So there you go. There's another reason to hate them. But
would have been fun.
Guess who you don't hate? Us. We make cool videos on the internet and we don't lie to you. I don't think, anyway, as far as I'm aware. Level Cap, what's coming up on the show this week? What can we expect on your channel?
More Battlefield 1.
Wonderful.
Got tons of stockpiled Battlefield footage. We're going to be talking about classes, weapon balance, all that fun stuff. If you're excited for the game, watch my channel. You'll learn everything you want to know and then more.
Fantastic.
Just sick of it before it even comes out.
Yeah, you'll be sick of it before it comes out. Battlefield 1. Go check out LevelCapGaming on YouTube. And thank you very much for coming on the show today.
Thanks
very
for
much
having
appreciate that. Absolutely our pleasure. If they want to follow you on social media, that's also twitter.com/LevelCapGaming. I think that's all your socials, right?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Unified branding.
Yeah, we always appreciate the unified branding on the show. Jesse, what's coming up on the show this week?
I don't have that, whatever that is. So,
Your shit's all over the place.
YouTube.com/Jesse Cox. You can go see, right now, Dodger and I are doing more Life is Strange. Ooh. And if you miss any of the VODs from twitch.tv/Shabuzi, there's that non-branding. People wanted me to put them up there, so you get those too now. So that's a thing. Enjoy them. They are long ass video clips of me playing games while staring at a chat you're not involved in. It's awesome.
Twitch VODs, great entertainment. Dodger, what's going on with the channel this week?
Finally, the final bits of stories, Path of Destiny. The final one is going to be going up tomorrow. And just getting back into it, man. I have like a microphone that makes sense and stuff. Going to be recording more Hustle Cat, things like that. So yeah, I don't know. I do silly stuff.
When are you going to play the Fancy Cats and Fancy Hats game on iOS?
One day, TV.
This is all I do to her on Skype. I just link any game that has cats in it to her because that's my only understanding of her personality.
I never know because sometimes you link me to things and you're like, this looks like a dumb game you'd like. And then other times you link me to things and you're like, this is a legitimately good game you might like. And I'm like, which is it?
It's a mystery. Who knows?
I never know.
It's like opening up a crate in CSGO. You never know what you're going to get. It's a modern Forrest Gump reference, isn't it? Except Forrest Gump didn't scam children!
Sure.
God damn it.
Wow.
Like Pro Syndicate ruined Forrest Gump as well. The hell? There's nothing sacred. I got shit all coming up this week, I'm afraid. I got chemo tomorrow. It's going to suck. I'll probably be back on my feet sometime over the weekend. And then we can get back to doing things that are fun. So that's that. Feel free to follow us on YouTube, right there, right below our names for the last 3 hours. Go and subscribe to those channels if you have not already. The VOD for this podcast will be available on Thursday, along with the iTunes audio. So by all means, do feel free to click and listen to that if you missed any of the show. Big thanks to our guest today, LevelCapGaming. Of course, thanks to Jesse and Dodger for coming on the show today, and to our sponsor, Crunchyroll. Is not our sponsor today. That'll be next time. But our sponsor this week is squarespace.com/cooptional.
Never happened.
We can edit that out. It'll be fine.
Thank you, Squarespace.
Thanks, Squarespace. Squarespace.com/cooptional. 10% off your first order of unlimited anime and also domain names and websites. All our sponsors are just mushing together now. It's like, you want to get an anime audiobook and domain name? You can get them all from all of our sponsors at once. Oh, God. Sponsored by, babygambles.net, I believe.
Yes.
Because we believe that babies should be able to bypass the law and gamble.
You should be able to gamble on your child.
You should be able to gamble as a baby. Babygambles.net, ladies and gentlemen. We are not affiliated with babygambles.net.
You can do either.
Absolutely. Go win
baby
some.
Fights. That's the only thing I bet on. Baby
Send
fights.
your baby to babygambles.net. They will earn money for you. They will send it back overnight, once they've earned enough money to do so. Babygambles.net.
That's not a baby. That's a toddler. They're cheating. Ugh!
Bye, everyone. Thanks for watching the
cool
podcast.
website I found right here. Cool website I found. Totally not affiliated with it. Goodbye.